Hello everyone, welcome to What If Ash Went to Highschool DXD Part 2. Before we start, please go support God of Hope for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistake in character's gender, but of course Ash is a male. Chapter 9. Who is that boy? That reincarnated person is not ordinary. Those creatures aren't in any of the books I know. These were the words of many of those present who watched everything from their tables. And a redhead watched everything with great interest, and even more so when he saw how Ash used pure power, being a reincarnated demon. While Serena was completely confident that her black hair was going to win, she couldn't help but worry about him. I could only pray that they could return home. But Pikachu, it was Sylvian who came out from behind the tablecloths and ran straight to the screen with a face that showed concern. And it was understandable. His partner was going to fight a very different battle than what Pokemon are used to. There were no rules. There was not just one opponent. It was a battle for survival, and the prize was gain. Sylvian, wait. The honey-haired girl wanted to stop her from being discovered, but what's that? Who is she? It was already late. Everyone was looking at the fairy creature, and to make matters worse, some men were looking at Serena with lustful eyes. Something that disgusted her. These guys, only Ash has the right to look at me like that. She's an intruder, capture her. When one of them spoke, several demons with spears came out and surrounded the girl and her Pokemon, who got into a battle stance. White lights came out from his waist, and they were his Pokemon Braixen and Packham, who were ready to protect Serena at all costs. Two of them approached trying to attack, but Packham managed to knock them out using Sharp Rock to stun them. Braixen used Fire Spin to push them back, causing them to come out burned. But they didn't see how several more reached Serena at a blind spot. She was about to fight, but two lights came out from her waist. And those spears were cut by green energy claws. It was a red crocodile-like creature with black details. The strange thing was that he had sunglasses on. The other creature was similar to a wolf with orange fur, with a white mane and black tips on its neck and on its forehead like bangs. There were two of Ash's Pokemon, Crocodile and Twilight Lycanroc. They were not going to allow one of their coach's friends to be hurt. Everyone present now wanted to have these creatures to know where they came from, or if they could get more of them. It was going to be a mess. But enough already? Everyone stopped when they felt a powerful pressure in the air. They turned to see that it was the redhead who had risen from his throne. He showed a powerful red aura, looking at everyone seriously. Those present were afraid of what their leader was going to do. The Pokemon became nervous as that power easily surpassed the legendary, as if it were nothing. Serena didn't know what to think. Seeing a being surpass the power of a legendary is something that would be hard to believe. I think this has gotten out of control, so I'm going to ask everyone that I don't want any fights in this place. Do you understand me? All the demons did not object and returned to their seats. As for the Pokemon, despite their powerful presence, they did not give in to him. They were willing to face him in order to protect Serena. But guys, calm down. I don't think he'll do anything to us. That's what the girl said seriously when she saw how the redhead looked at her. It was obvious that there was peace and their intentions were not bad. The redhead approached until he was in front of her, accompanied by a young woman with brown hair and a man also with red hair but with a beard, and two more adults with blonde hair. Surely that man must be your father. I apologize for the behavior of my guests and my guards. I hope they have not bothered you. She could tell the guy was nice, so she replied. You don't have to ask for them. You're Serena, right? My daughter has told me about you. I'm sure you're great friends, said the brown-haired woman with a friendly smile. You could say yes. Wait a minute, did you say daughter? Are you her mother? Is what she asked, unable to believe that such a young woman is the mother of her rival. Although you may not believe it, I am his mother. Demon women can change our physical age according to our taste. It has happened many times that I have been confused with his sister, she said, smiling mockingly, remembering the times that this has happened. So while I'm going to get older, that little redhead will stay young no matter how old she is. This isn't fair. She'll look like a young woman while I'll be like a cradle robber. That's definitely not fair. I would like to know if you could tell us what these creatures are? And if the young man who is fighting with my daughter's fiancé is someone who will surprise us, asked the head of the Gremory family, bringing the honey-haired girl out of her depressive thoughts. She answered them confidently. Ash is someone who can surprise us with the unexpected. I can assure you that you will not be disappointed. That's something I want to see. With the Mao's words, the Pokemon relaxed a little and Serena looked at the screen with a hand on her chest at the height of her heart. Being completely sure that your loved one will win the battle he is about to fight. Ash jumped down from the roof and with his blue aura coming out like fire, he waited for Razor to get up. Something I don't take much. Since the place where he fell erupted into a pillar of flames. And from that place Razor came out, being upset by that blow that hurt him. Looking at the coach angrily. Ash, on the other hand, looked at him seriously. They both didn't move, they just looked at each other, waiting for the other to do something. Phew, I see you are not so pathetic after all. If you survived a minor explosion from my queen and the attacks from my younger sister, it can be seen that you are very resistant to pain, but also your speed and strength surpass that of a rook and knight. The coach did not respond. You're not talking, right? Don't be shy and talk. It would take me the whole rating game to explain it to you, and the truth is I want to fight instead of talking. Obviously the blonde took that as a joke, which made him angry. Damn reincarnated. While on the roofs, Pikachu and Greninja watched everything. Pikachu, shouldn't we help him? Asked the ninja Pokemon, looking at his trainer somewhat worried. Ash has trained day and night for this. Not getting involved is the best thing to do, said the electric mouse very seriously. What things have happened since I got here? It would take me a whole day to tell you, but now watching and making sure that Hoppa's shadow doesn't possess him is our job. Okay friend, I just hope nothing bad happens. I hope so too. Meanwhile, Rias met up with her other servants. After having defeated their opponents, and accompanied by Mutuo, they watched from a safe distance the battle that was about to take place. Ash-kun will fight, said Kaneko, being worried about the trainer. Era, he has not fully recovered from the wounds that the Queen and the Phoenix gave him. He lost some blood and his skills are only short distance against the Phoenix. He doesn't help much, said Akino, who was also worried. Can Ash-kun handle this alone? I don't doubt his strength, but I recommend you observe the power of the Chosen One is beyond what you imagine. It was Mutuo who interrupted Kiba. While they were talking, Rias held Ash's cap to her chest as she prayed that Ash would win this battle. The silence was present. None of those present could help but feel a pressure in the air around them both. Their eyes met, and it seemed that time had stopped. Both having different motives, they only wanted one thing in mind: gain. So they both expelled their powers on high. Razor had an aura of flames, looking arrogantly, and Ash had his blue aura, looking seriously. They both took a step and they disappeared. For later. Boom. Both clashed forearms. Their auras were colliding and the ground where they were was sinking. After an attempted kick in which there was a tie, and at tremendous speed they exchanged blows loaded with fire and aura. The ability that Razor had is what left the dark-haired boy somewhat surprised, since he did not expect him to be good, but he was not far behind. He didn't train with his fighting-type Pokemon for nothing. He learned everything he knows about martial combat from them and their fighting styles. For now both are being tested. The speed of his attacks increased. Both Pokemon looked impressed that their trainer was going to fight at a level above that of a human, and reaching that of a Pokemon. The spectators could not help but be surprised. It's not an everyday occurrence for a low-class devil to fight an heir of the 72 demon houses. They stopped for a bit. And then they will jump to disappear. Shockwaves and blue and orange flashes collided, making it seem like the battle was straight out of a shonen manga. Everyone who was watching couldn't believe it. But then things took a sharp turn. A cross punch to both their faces sent them to the ground, crashing into trees, ashes, and buildings. Razors. Nobody spoke. It was silence. Those who supported the jet feared the worst. But boom. Two blue and orange energies erupted at the places where they both fell. They got up, dusting themselves off. looking at each other. Smiling. I see that you're not doing too bad, Pawn. That energy of yours is very strong, is what he said, wiping the dirt from his cheek where he received the blow. Thanks, you're not doing too bad either. Those flames could really burn me if I'm careless. I also said, doing the same and smiling. HMP, it's the flames of the phoenix you're facing, obviously. I hope you don't bore me now that I'm having fun with you, he said, getting into a fighting stance. The feeling is mutual, he replied, doing the same. The level of both seems very even, the speed and strength is very even, said Kiba. Era, this could be a problem for Ash-kun. I wouldn't say that. The demons looked at the cloned Pokemon. What do you mean? Kiba asked. I mean, Ash has the bad habit of not going all out from the start. He's had it since Pokemon battles, and so on, that could lead to a lot of difficulties. Those words gave a bad omen to almost all members of the nobility who had hopes for Ash to win. But only one watched the match with her hands on her chest, praying for the black-haired boy to win. You can do it, Ash, win for everyone. It was Rias who had hopes that the coach would win. A few seconds passed before someone made the first move. It wasn't until Razor launched himself on his wings of fire. Ash dodged the attack by jumping, but he didn't expect the Phoenix Heir to use fire on his feet as turbines to stop and be in a blind spot. In short, I caught him off guard. It is definitely not expected. When he turned around, he received a kick in the face that sent him crashing to the ground, leaving him in pain. The blonde with his arms crossed watched that arrogantly. That's the best you have? The jet black jumps to his feet. Only the most attentive and sharp-eyed could see that the same coach. He smiled. The jet black eyes were still blue. You are strong, and I didn't expect that move. HMP, what you saw is nothing compared to what you will see, that is if you can bear it. Well, I hope what comes next is good, because I want to keep fighting. The Phoenix was irritated to see that his words were of no use, but he could not think any further when he saw how Ash himself increased his aura even more. I didn't understand why he did that. And without being able to see it. Boom. Gah. He received a blow to the stomach. And I think this blow answers your previous question. Due to the force of the blow, he was thrown a few meters but recovered to try to retaliate. But he couldn't when he saw that he was not in sight. Where is? Here. I hear that voice above my head. He made the mistake of looking up when he received an axe kick to the face, and was buried in the ground and raising dust. The spectators were surprised that Ash was anticipating the blonde's actions, while he waited in the air thanks to his wings for Razor to come out. You know that wasn't enough, right? I know, Drag, that couldn't have been enough to beat him. Increasing the level of my aura doesn't guarantee me victory, so I can't let my guard down. And he was right. A huge flame came out from the ground, and then we saw a very angry Razor Phoenix. If you readers wanted to go to the bathroom, well, it's a bad time. That I won't forgive you, damn reincarnation. And with that cry, his flames came out furiously, in tune with his fury. Something that left the black-haired boy surprised but at the same time excited. Drag, I know I've felt that excitement of facing someone strong in my world, but now I really want to fight and not stop until I win. It's your dragon instincts, partner. We by nature fight until we defeat our opponents. We love to fight, and it's in our blood. No wonder you had it even before I woke up. Now go give hell. The dragon's words only served one purpose: stir up their desire to fight. The aura increased more power, and with more emotion he launched himself into battle, both with anger and passion. Boom. 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 They engaged in a battle full of punches and kicks, pressing and giving in, hitting and receiving, both of them considered a unique fight. Ta 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 ta. Guh. Both did not stop their attacks. While in the audience room. By Satan, that boy is a real fighter and his strength is unstoppable. I must say that my daughter has a very strong pawn. Both clan leaders were talking about the battle. While Serena smiled, knowing that her beloved not only still has that passion for a battle but that it increased even more. Maybe Arceus gave me the fairy power to keep it under control and not to protect me. Serena-san. She came out of her thoughts when she saw that her rival's mother caught her attention. Tell me. You know that boy, tell me, is there something between him and my daughter? No, and I hope there isn't. Of course, he thought that last part. It's a shame a strong and passionate boy like him seems like a good candidate for my daughter. That left the honey-haired girl surprised. What do you mean? Do you not agree with the commitment to the Phoenix family? If I am honest with you, I propose that she have a chance to get out of this arranged marriage through writing. Just like my husband, we both know that our daughter is trapped under ancient traditions, and seeing her suffer is something we did not want. This is her chance to get out and show that traditions only hinder us. So. That's right, look around you. She did what the brunette asked her, and saw that many of those present did not like what they saw with their eyes. They think that the reincarnated only serve to serve the underworld according to ancient tradition, but my daughter's pawn proves them wrong. I apologize for being a bit abrupt, ma'am, but my beloved has a name. The matriarch of the clan smiled at the serious and determined look on the honey-haired girl's face. And tell me, what is the name of the boy who has stolen my daughter's heart and yours? For a moment she looked at the Pokemon she had with her and saw that they supported the black-haired one in their respective languages, plus a crocodile and Lycanroc who, with seriousness and smiles full of pride, looked at everything, already wanting to face their trainer. The Colosiana only answered him, smiling with pride and determination. His name is Ketchum, the strongest and bravest boy I know. Ta 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 ta. Damn, his strength is increasing. These were Razor's thoughts as he saw that he was slowly being pressured. With every hit he tried to give, Ash gave twice as much and his strength increased. If I don't do something. URIHHH. Bam. A blow to the cheek left him almost out of action. It was Ash who increased his aura the most. The force of the blow threw him into some buildings, causing great damage. Everything was seen by someone who was in charge of a normal/flying bird in its mega form. Oh no, at this rate we will lose. She only came up with one thing. I throw small spheres of fire that when detonated they gave off a blinding glow like a flare, and to add to the burn on the bird's right wing, making him fall to the ground. I take that opportunity to launch into a direction. While Ash was going to jump inside the building to continue, he received an attack similar to a nitro charge that pushed him to the ground, and with it he was dragged until he was trapped between a rock behind him and his attacker, leaving a trail of 20 meters. Hey, why? I was about to yell at him but realized who it was. I'm sorry, honey, but if you beat my brother I won't be able to have you. It's better that I finish you off once and for all and you're with me, but don't worry, it won't hurt you much. With one hand he prepared a flame of fire ready to burn him and take him out of the game, having a look of desire that scared the ebony. Reason why he didn't escape the grip of the lesser phoenix. Shit. You are mine. He seemed lost. But he couldn't let go of the flame as he felt someone grab his wrist. Excuse me, but the one you have is my property. She felt that grip tighten even more. I slowly turned around to see someone who I hoped was injured and not in the mood to fight. Bucho? Just like Ash said, it's Rias. But the question was how? Well, did you drink the bottle I gave you? She smiled. Yes, I took it mixed with those blueberries. They gave me back all my strength. I didn't want to sit there and see now that it's 2 against 1. I'm glad he is really glad that she came to save him. But I don't wait for the phoenix with her free hand to try to hit the redhead. She stopped the blow as best she could with a hand loaded with Hawkeye. Both put strength to stop the other. They looked into each other's eyes. I didn't expect the princess to get her hands dirty, is what he said arrogantly. I'm not a damsel in distress, little girl, the heiress replied seriously. Well, a few moments ago you were. The is past. Both increased their power. Ravel's was orange, while Rias's was red. Ravel had to move away and take distance when she saw that Ash was going to give her a blow charged with aura. Already at a safe distance next to him, his brother appeared, a little dirty and with his jacket somewhat torn. Oni-sama. Don't say anything, Ravel, now I want you to concentrate on the fight. She did not object to the blonde's order. While with Ash. Asia, how is Pidgeot? She's fine, I'm already healing her burns. Thanks, Asia, I appreciate it. You and the others meet up with my Pokemon and watch the fight. Mewtwo will be there if something happens. Okay, both of you please be careful. When I cut off communication, they both looked at their opponent. Bucho, are you sure you want to fight? She put Ash's cap on her head and looked determinedly at her opponent. Of course, Ash, I'm ready. The black-haired boy understood that Rias was ready. Well, let's fight together. Of course. Do they think they can beat us? They are nothing against the Phoenix, Razor said arrogantly. Why don't you just surrender now and save what's left of your dignity? Ravel also said arrogantly. No thanks, I have a mission to do and regaining Bucho's freedom is part of my mission. I'm sorry, Razor, but this will be your downfall and my victory. Both Phoenix were annoyed by those words, so they used another tactic. They raised their flames until they were almost enveloped in them as if it were their own aura. But what they didn't tell. The thing is. Ash raised his aura to the next level, intimidating the Phoenix a little, and not only that. All of his hair turned blue, but his aura flashed purity and raw power. But he was not the only one. Ria slowly raised her arms to her sides, and without anyone expecting it, a dark red aura enveloped her. Her gaze was blood red and her hair rose, dancing with the Hawkeye energy. I know some will wonder why I say Hawkeye, but in Spanish it means destruction, and the power of destruction is hers, so I think it would be interesting to see something similar to what the Hawkeye Shin do and their fighting style in her. Don't argue with me, she's my favorite waifu. Red and blue. Both ready to fight. Ash, when this is over, when she was going to say something, she felt her hand being taken by the same black man. Looking at him, she saw that he gave her courage with just one expression. Tell me when we're done with this, Rias. She didn't say anything else, she just smiled and reluctantly had to let go of the warm hand of the boy she loves. And as if the sound of a gong was heard thanks to an explosion, both men launched themselves into the attack. Hiya! Boom! Both fists collided and a shock wave was present, then they launched punches and kicks worthy of martial arts masters. But Razor wasn't having a good time. His power increases all the time. How can he obtain so much just by shouting? He couldn't think anymore because with a kick he was thrown to the ground. When Ash stopped a little, the blonde Phoenix appeared behind him to attack him. The coach didn't have to do anything. Pam. Since a redhead surrounded by Hawkeye hit her in the face and pushed her away from the blue-haired girl. I remind you that your fight is with me. How dare you get in my way, she replied with some pain on her cheek and very angry with the heiress. While far away. Ready, you're better now. This is what Asia said as she finished healing the great bird. Thanks for healing me, the bird Pokemon responded in his language. She thanks you, translated the clone Pokemon. And it was that the group had gathered at the place where the flying Pokemon fell. Pikachu and Greninja also arrived there, while the others watched the fight in which their own mistress now joined. Do you think she can fight? From what we saw, the Phoenix wasn't weak at all? Kiba asked, worried about his master and his friend. We must trust them, said Kaneko. She has also trained to fight and show that she is not a burden. After that first day of training, I can tell you that if she did not show her power, it was because she somehow wanted Ash to fight by her side against Razor. She feels safer having Ash by her side. They both tried to understand the words of the queen, who only smiled elegantly. But deep down she didn't want to be left behind. I'm going to have to train more if I want to fight for first place in Ash-kun's heart, but it will be worth it for Fufufu. And in the VIP. My daughter has become strong. Don't be overconfident, Lord Gremory. My daughter is not weak at all. She also trained before this raiding. I bet we're both proud of our daughters, Lord Phoenix. Both clan leaders watched the fight in which, from the images, both she-devils with fire and Hawkeye attacked each other. Lady Gremory looked at her daughter with pride, knowing that she is not someone who lets her own battles be fought. Lady? She looked at the honey-haired girl who smiled at her. She is my rival, and I can tell you that in the time that we both trained she has become stronger and stronger. Thank you for telling me that. Maybe you won't admit it, but I can see that you and my daughter are great friends. I just ask that if this ends well, please take care of her. Pelamiel didn't know what to say at that moment. But what he did know and more when he saw how the redhead prevented the surprise attacks directed at the coach from arriving. While he did the same with Razor. She knew that in all this time, besides being her rival, I also considered her a friend. I can only promise you, ma'am, that she and I will have many moments together, not only for Ash, but because both of us are the best rivals. The coach's smile was more than enough for the brunette to know that there is a very close friendship between her and her daughter. While in battle, both she-devils gave each other no respite. For a moment they both understood each other. And they knew what they wanted. You are strong, said the tired phoenix, healing herself with her regeneration. He was breathing heavily from the effort. You are too. I don't think you are a bishop with that combat ability, said the also married Gremory. Well, I didn't want to be a little princess in danger. I wanted to become stronger and stronger, to have my own nobility, but I wanted to do it on my own. That's why I asked Oniai-sama to make me his bishop, so I could make a name for myself in the underworld. You know, if the circumstances were different, we could be friends. Maybe so, although I don't think you'll like my tastes in anime. Are you kidding? I would be like an otaku and more so watching Dragon Ball Super. In fact, watching that anime gave me an idea to be able to fight. Well, you're not the only one. In fact, seeing that boy reminded me of Super Saiyan Blue. I know, and I like that. They both smiled, forgetting the fact that they were killing each other with blows and attacks before. How about we fight now, not to win? What do you mean? Asked the Gremory heiress. I like him, and a few friends of my peerage like him too, but when I saw him better I realized that he is not just any boy who falls for my charms. What do you think if you let me be with him? Are you talking to me as if you were asking my permission? It's because he's been very attentive since we started this, and now I realize that you would be the main one. There was a moment of silence between the two until the redhead broke it. Well, let me tell you that for now I share that position with a certain girl who is my rival. The blonde opened her eyes in astonishment at those words. Until he remembered something. Wait, that girl with honey hair and blue eyes that was stuck to him, is that her? The same, and if you want to try to go for Ash, you not only have to get past me but her as well. You talk about her as if she were your friend, Ravel asked. It is in a way you could say that if I fall or if I can't protect him, she'll be there to cover my back. Those were the sincere words of the Gremory, without knowing that a certain trainer using fairy powers was listening to everything, bringing out a smile that only his Pokemon and mother noticed. Well, I have no choice. I give up. I won't fight anymore, is what Ravel said. Okay, what do you say, friends? Clear. They both held hands, knowing that fighting was now pointless. But they were interrupted when they heard loud noises from a distance. They both looked in a certain direction. Do you think he will win? I don't believe it. She looked at her, questioning that answer. But I know he will win and end this. Now she understood it. And they both silently watched the battle that was taking place. The rumblings did not stop. The blows kept coming. And the powers did not seem to diminish. Both fighters, Ash and Razor, they fought non-stop. Ignored its limits. Both. They had fun. The rumbling stopped, and the ground no longer showed any more sinkholes and craters. In the middle of that destroyed place, both tired, they looked at each other. But they smiled. I can't believe you are someone strong despite being reincarnated. You are strong. I haven't taken out my maximum, and I'm enjoying it a lot. Razor, you are a great rival. Something the blonde didn't understand since the fight started. It was that no matter how many blows he gave and how many attacks he made, the boy did not seem desperate. He couldn't get her to look at him with hatred. Like all of his opponents whom he has faced in the name of the Phoenix family, the blue-haired man has by far not only forced him to fight very seriously, If not, he has done something that I had not felt for a long time. That feeling of motivation and determination. Razor, can I ask you something? He was hesitant to answer, but he didn't see anything wrong with that. Forward. You fight for your family or because you want to? Seconds passed after that question in which silence reigned. But he answered. HMP, I do it for my reincarnated self, he replied arrogantly. Then why do you lie to yourself? The surprise in the phoenix's expression was present. No, I have no idea what you are talking about, servant. Stop lying to yourself, Razor. My aura can see through your lies, and I can tell you that what you say is not what you really want. Don't make me laugh. I am the heir of the Phoenix family, and once I beat you I will go for Rias and... Stop acting like a bastard. That scream. I leave the blonde in silence. You, from the beginning since I met you, all I see is remorse. You have had to act like someone you don't like to be. If it's because of someone or because of what others think, I'll only tell you this: leave them aside. Stop being what they want. Stop worrying about what they'll say. Stop hurting those who want to help you. Stop acting like an idiot, and start being better than that. Ash's aura increased in power, becoming denser. The Phoenix was speechless. In his entire life, he never wanted to be what he is now. He wanted to be the best and make his older brothers proud. That their parents were proud. So he has worked hard to be someone strong. But his path was bent when the demonic council had influenced his way of thinking and acting. Despite the acts of arrogance and humiliation of his enemies, deep down, he didn't want to do it. He wanted to fight someone who would give him a challenge. One that could be called a rival. One who could be an ally in a time of need. But with the elders watching and hoping that he will be the one to keep those who want to excel in their place. He hated his life. He hated forcing Rias to have a powerful generation of devils, knowing that his heart only belongs to his beloved queen. And I hated having to do this raiding to satisfy those old folks. And he thought that no one could help him. There was only him and only him before their eyes, waiting for satisfactory results. With no one to. Razor. He came out of his meditation when he saw his rival yelling at him and looking at him with great determination. Here it's just you and me, they're not here and they can't control you anymore, they're not your owners, they're nothing. He didn't say anything. I let the coach talk. Wanting to hear it. You are Razor, and you have the right to be who you want, and if they want you to be someone else, then ignore them, be the best by being you, show me what you can do, turn on all your power. The coach's words somehow motivated the blonde. It motivated him to be himself. What is that reincarnated person doing? You're crazy saying such blasphemies. Someone shut him up. It was the words of the elders who wanted the heir of the Phoenix family to win and for the wedding to take place. Because of their greed they desire it. But they were silenced when they felt a very great power. He was not the ruler of the underworld. Neither the Pokemon was. Shut your mouths now. The same Serena who was enveloped in a pink aura as if it were fire. It was her, and she was angry with them. His gaze was cold. With that look I silenced them. When she looked back at the screen she just smiled. Ash is doing what he does best in his own way, helping even if he is his enemy. Instead, Razor knew what to think. Or he knew why. But the coach's words have made him reflect. That it should be more the same and not another. While still fighting with him. While blocking another kick. While he gave him a blow in the stomach. While he received a blow to the face. While still fighting. He could understand. That I no longer wanted to be someone else. But there was only one impediment. And thinking about that impediment cost him a tremendous blow to the face that sent him crashing to the ground. That impediment. It is the Council of Elders. But Razor. He stood up in pain to see the blue-haired boy in the air, still with his aura present. Leave your limits behind, they will only be obstacles in what you want. You don't understand my situation, you don't know what they're doing. I will understand you not only because you are my rival, you are my friend. At that moment no one present said anything. Nobody had commented anything. Nobody spoke. And that's why you will give me the maximum of your power until you can't take it anymore. Never give up until the end. And with those words, Ash increased his aura to its maximum capacity. Instead, Razor. He understood everything. His opponent never wanted to humiliate him. He never wanted to put him in his place. He never wanted to see him as someone weak. Nothing mattered. Nothing mattered anymore at that moment. He did not care what the Council of Elders said or claimed of him. Now all I wanted was fight. And be more and stronger. That was his dream that had died long ago. Be the strongest and raise the Phoenix family high. Make your parents proud. Let your brother see it with pride. Let your beloved queen see it with pride. And why not? That your new friend. I saw it with pride. So with great determination. A determination that he thought he would never feel again. I take flight. And with his fire he created a huge sphere resembling a sun. It was his best attack. Before I finish with this, I want to know the name of the person who gave me the best battle of my entire life. He saw how the blue-haired boy went down to the ground, and with his hands placed to the side he created a sphere. An aura sphere, a powerful aura sphere. My name is Ketchum, and I will defeat you with all my power. Well, this is also all my power. Show me that you can beat me. Both raised their aura. H-yay, Ash shouted. U-R-I-H-H-H-H-H-H, Razor shouted. And both. They launched their attacks. A huge fireball was approaching. As a torrent of aura approached. Both techniques. Boom. They collided with each other. Trying to win over the other. Razor was trying hard. Ash was the same. H-H-H-H-H-H-H-H-H-H-H-H-H-H-H-H-H. The scream of both was heard throughout the place. The observers watched, waiting for how it would end. The Pokemon were also waiting for the result. Those in the VIP room were waiting for the result. Both were very evenly matched. But I hope that after this we will see each other again and have a meeting, but as friends. Those were Ash's thoughts before. H-H-H-H-H-H-H-H-H-H-H-H-H. Raise all of his power, surpassing that of Razor. His attack pierced the fiery sun as if it were an eastern dragon, and with great power he came out of the fire and headed towards the air. The air, when he saw how his technique failed. Instead of a gesture of anguish. Only. I smile. Knowing and accepting that he has lost. Thanks, Ketchum, thanks for considering me a friend even though I don't fully deserve it after what I've done to others. Thanks for offering me. Be my first friend. It took a few seconds for the light to stop. And once the dust cleared, where Razor was, there was no one left. There was silence. Razor Phoenix has been removed from the game with the king eliminated. Victory goes to the Gremry nobility. Those were enough words for him to come down from heaven already exhausted. When his feet touched the ground, his transformation and his aura were gone. Her hair and eyes returned to their natural color. He smiled tiredly and then felt his strength leaving him. Just when he thought he would fall face first to the ground, someone stopped him. I slowly look up when I see it's Rias. You did it, Ash. I did it. I could barely speak because of all the power I used. I know, Ash. Wah. Chew. His eyes widened at the shock he had, and it was that Rias Gremry, the girl who is his master, who is his friend, and who saved his life. I was kissing him. He didn't know what to do. Until, due to exhaustion, she just gave herself over to the kiss, closing her eyes. This was watched by all his Pokemon and the rest of the nobility, who looked at everything mischievously. While Serena just smiled sideways, knowing that for now her rival deserves some time with Ash. While in a certain place, a god watched everything with a smile along with all the legendary ones. Each of them was impressed by the fight and how the chosen one managed to be so strong. But two presents who were not legendary looked with great jealousy at that kiss scene. Those two, they already wanted to go for Ash and claim what is theirs. The god looked at them. Are you both ready? Yes, we are, said one. I want to go with Ash, Mr. Arceus. Well, the portal will take you to where your house is. Take care. They nodded, having a thought in mind. We will come for you, Ash. And with fiery determination they jumped into the portal created by the Pokemon God. Father, it seems that you like to get the chosen one into more trouble, right? Asked the Time Pokemon. I haven't enjoyed it enough. Besides, Ash will need all the help he can get for what's coming, the god replied. Well, I think you're going too far by sending him two of his closest companions, and the ones he fears, the space Pokemon also commented, giving his opinion. The god ignored them as he looked at the image of Ash being unconscious. I just smile knowing that her chosen one not only helped his mistress, but he also helped his own enemy. Show me what else you can do, Ash. And with those words directed at the jet, the god disappeared from the portal, hoping there will be more challenges and challenges for your chosen one. But for now. Chapter 10. The City of K. A place where you can wake up peacefully. So in a house where our hero slept comfortably after many days fulfilling contracts and training with his Pokemon. Of course, in that bed, he was not entirely alone. And I'm not talking about Pikachu. If not from someone else. He woke up little by little, as the light of dawn shone in his eyes. I want to sleep more, is what he said, still sleepy and with his left hand looking for a sheet to cover that annoying light. But what his hand managed to touch was not the sheet. What is this? Just by giving the soft, smooth object a squeeze. A very feminine moan was heard. That was enough for the black-haired boy's dream to fade away, knowing that that moan only meant trouble. And in case you don't know, he still has his eyes closed. Arceus, this may not be what I think it is. The poor man begged for it not to be what he thinks it is. But unfortunately. Hey Ash, you are very playful in the mornings. Arceus likes to screw up the life of the chosen one. Just hearing that voice, Ash opened his eyes to see beautiful orbs of smooth skin very close to his face. Looking up, he saw who was responsible. It was nothing more and nothing less than Rias? You are very lively today. That's how it is. His mistress. Rias Gremory. Many will wonder. What is she doing there? Well, it turns out that after the raiding game things became very complicated, since several demons wanted the Raven at their service, and several more wanted to buy the Pokemon that were at their disposal. Many looked with greed at those Pokemon that were strong and capable of giving battles to strong pieces. Since they were impressed by the power of Charizard, Sceptile, Infernape, Pidgeot, Greninja, Lycanroc, Crocodile, and their starter Pikachu. But despite the huge and expensive offers he received, he refused, arguing that his Pokemon are not objects but his most loyal friends, his family. And not only that. The same trainer visited the heir of the Phoenix house in the infirmary where he was recovering, and as if they were good friends, they both talked and promised that if they met again they would have a rematch. And the seal is that promise, more giving a gift to the heir. The only thing he said to him before letting him rest was, "Take care of it." Of course, that's not the only thing that happened. But there were demonic families who took interest in the jet and tried to discover what its aura power was, so they asked the Gremory house for an exchange of a piece, but Rias herself ultimately did not accept at all, despite the tempting offers they offered her. So apart from the fact that they offered commitments to fill the vacancy, the same family had declared that they will not commit their daughter again unless she wants to. In short, I was free. But things were still very shady, so the heiress decided to stay out of the underworld for a while. And guess where it ended up? Did you guess? Well, a certain Pelamil didn't like that at all. But let's get back to what we were talking about. You know that if someone were to come in we would get into trouble because of a misunderstanding. That's what makes it exciting, Ash. Why don't we play a little? She sat on his waist and moved it, trying to incite the dark-haired man. Something I achieve by feeling something. Now, does that encourage you? Those words made the brunette blush as if he were a Charmeleon, and he used all his willpower to not give in to those impulses. Rias, please don't move like that, he could barely speak. Don't you feel like jumping me? That caused the coach to tighten the sheets because of what he heard. Wouldn't you like to do something dirty? Yes, with those words even the most dense person could understand. Damn, this isn't good, what do I do now? If she keeps this up, I'm going to. But just when I was about to give in, Ash-san, Serena-san sent me to tell you to come down for breakfast. The voice of a certain blonde ex-sister was heard from the door. What it means? Oh no, if she comes in. Ash was looking for a way out of such a problem, but someone had other plans. And he knew it when he saw her smiling maliciously. Rias, please don't do it, I beg you, he begged her not to do it. Ash-san, have you woken up yet? Wait a minute, Asia, Ash and I haven't gotten dressed yet. That's it. The door swung open and the same girl came in, but now her eyes were watery from what she was looking at. The boy she liked half naked, the sheet covers the lower part of his body, and his mistress completely naked on top of him. Anyone could misinterpret that as something indecent. Well, this couldn't get any worse. Asia, you woke up, Ash, like I told you. And from the same door was Pelamil with a pink apron and a spatula, which she dropped when she saw what her blonde friend saw, having a look of surprise. You had to say it. The dragon's words were heard in his mind. Look, I know that at first glance it is what you think, but if you let me explain. He couldn't continue as the same blonde with trembling hands began to undress. I'm going to do it too, I won't be left behind. Her determined look suggested that this was going to make things worse. But, Ashy. The sweet voice of the performance made the coach panic now. And it was that the Colosiana had a cloudy look and a pink aura emerged from her. And to top it off, one of his hands had energy building up for an attack. It was Floral Canyon. And he pointed at both of them who were in bed. I have told you many times that the only one you can be intimate with is me. She entered her Yandere mode. But it wasn't the only one. Now, I don't think it's fair that you monopolize it like that, Tinkerbell. Rias was not far behind in expelling her red aura. I'll have to show you who is the owner of Ashrojita, is what she said, ready to launch her attack. Well, go ahead. No, wait. While in the kitchen where a couple of Pokemon were eating peacefully. Boom. An explosion was heard and made some things shake a little. You shouldn't go help him, you are his friend after all, Pikachu. Nope, I prefer that he solves his problems alone, besides these Pokemon are delicious. The fairy Pokemon sighed in annoyance, since what happened a few moments ago was a thing of every morning since the redhead moved in with them. Yep, that was normal at the Ketchum residence. Both of you girls shouldn't have done that. What would have happened if someone found out about us? He was the coach who had a bandage on his head due to the injuries caused by the little encounter that both girls had. He was grateful to Arceus that his body was very resistant to pain and had a good healing factor. Now they were in the club room being watched by the remaining members, who were watching everything with a smile. We are so sorry, is what they both said with their eyes on the ground, ashamed of what they did, and the worst thing, hurting the boy they loved. The Pokemon played a bit straight without breaking anything. Please girls, don't let this happen again. Ash-san, don't move too much, I can't heal you like that. It was Asia who, with her sacred gear, healed the brunette's wounds. I already told you that I'm fine, Asia, it doesn't hurt much anymore, is what the coach said as he let himself be healed. Era, I think Ash-kun had a fun morning. The queen's tone was one of double meaning. But as we know, Ash didn't understand it. I know, Akino-senpai, I think if it doesn't hurt today, it will hurt tomorrow. Well then, let it be known if I make you feel better. I promise you won't regret it, I assure you. Those last words in a whisper made the girls' alarms go off. But just when a new fight was about to begin, someone was heard knocking on the door. Hey, I think they arrived. Akino opened the door to let in a group of girls almost her age and a boy with blonde hair and gray eyes. Ash recognized them. The student council. Sona, what brings you here? Apparently the redhead knows one of them. The aforementioned was a girl with short black hair and semi-framed glasses, having a seriousness that could make even the most cheerful person uncomfortable. But, Sona-senpai, how are you? When she looked at him, she did something that left even her own companion stunned. She smiled. I see you're better now, Ketchum-kun. I heard you fought Razor. I hope you're not too hurt. I wouldn't want my kohai to attend classes in conditions that harm his health. Don't worry, Sona-senpai. I'll recover quickly. I swear I'll keep you posted. He smiled at the girl, who smiled back with a blush. I'm glad. And wait a minute, Sona, do you know Ash? Is what Rias asked, unable to believe that her friend and rival was speaking calmly and happily with her pawn. Yes, Rias, I met him because he asked me for help for an exam. I was his tutor, and thanks to me he got a perfect grade. Rias understood everything since she knew her friend and knows that she is not one to help others if it is not for something. And knowing Ash, he knows that she saw that the trainer had no bad intentions. That calmed the girls' alarms, as they thought they would have another potential rival in the heart of the black-haired boy. But, Sona-senpai, would you like a game of chess? This time I'm better prepared, he challenged her with the same determination he has in a Pokemon battle, making her smile. Well, I hope there isn't a tie this time. That left everyone present silent. Everyone except Serena, Asia, and the Pokemon had their eyes wide open in shock. Akino-senpai, why is everyone impressed? The honey-haired girl asked. It's because Sona-sama is undefeated in chess matches. No one has been able to beat her, and hearing from her herself that she tied with Ash-kun is something we don't find out every day. Ash. The conversation stopped as they watched the blonde boy walk towards Ash with a frown. Saji-senpai? I listened to what you did. With a demon you could have died for what you did. I'm sorry, but I had to do it. No excuses, man, seriously, look what happens if I take my eye off you. First those guys who tried to attack you, then the attack of the street demon, and now this. Saji, calm down. Ketchum-kun is aware of all his actions, and although I do not approve of them, I must understand that he is no longer under our jurisdiction, said the president. Kaicho, if I had reincarnated him earlier we could have. Wait a minute, Sona, did you want to reincarnate him? The black-haired girl's gaze changed to one of regret at that question. I had many plans and proposals to invite him to join my peerage, since someone who is able to tie me is a good candidate for my group, but I couldn't because, like you, I was in a bind with an arranged marriage. Oh, and what happened? I challenged my fiancé to a game of chess, and you know he had no chance against me. Unfortunately, when I wanted to proceed with my plan, I found out that you had already recruited him to your nobility. I'm sorry to hear that, my friend, but you wouldn't have been able to reincarnate him anyway. Since you didn't have enough pieces, I had to use my 8 pawns to be able to do it. At least I wanted to try, is what she said in a bitter and resigned way. By the way, Sona, why is your peon acting like that? Asked the she-devil, watching as the blonde man gave the raven a sermon about prudence. You could say that they both have history together. They both watched the interaction. Serena, on the other hand, did not stop looking at Ash, since no matter where he goes he will always find people who care about him. I smile as I see how that blonde boy cares about him. Things at the academy were quiet, and on the grounds of the old building it was Ash who gathered all the members of his club along with those of the student council. Well, I think it's time to introduce you to all my friends from my world. You're going to love them. Obviously, all precautions were taken to ensure there were no intruders. By Rias and Sona, who also wants to meet the Pokemon. Thanks to the rings he was able to bring Pokeballs, in which only half of his Pokemon were, not wanting to risk bringing them all. The sigh. Alright, everyone get out. He threw the Pokeballs, and from them came white lights in which many of the jet black Pokemon materialized. There were several. Pidgeot, Venusaur, Blastus, Charizard, Gengar, Snorlax, Meganium, Heracross, Typhlosion, Feraligatr, Noctowl, Sceptile, Smello, Glalie, Torquil who cried in blue-black smoke, Torterra, Staraptor, Glisker, Infernape, Garchomp, Greninja, Talonflame, Hawlucha, Goodra, Noivern, Lycanroc, and Crocodile. Each and every one of them came out. I want you to meet my friends from this world. Say hello and introduce yourselves. and each of them shouted his name. Each and every one of the demons were interacting with the Pokemon. Some were interested in the medium-sized ones while others looked with admiration at the large ones. Kiba greeted Sceptile, who also greeted in his own way. Saji looked interested at Crocodile, who was showing off his glasses and strength to some girls on the council. Sona looked at the water-type Pokemon with interest but was more interested in the water/dark-type Kalos starter that was leaning in the shade of a tree away from everyone. When she came closer to look at him more closely, she could see that the initial one didn't even pay attention to her. Ash, who was introducing some of his Pokemon to his friends, saw Sona approaching and then went to see. When she got close enough, he spoke to her. "Hello, my name is Charles." She didn't see it coming. But he noticed that the ninja Pokemon's hand had a dark energy, and that it was shaped like a sword. "And with it I attack him." But what she was preparing to attack? "Sona-senpai, wait." She looked at Ash, who had in his hand a type of insect that he knew well. A giant wasp, cut in half. And there she understood that that wasp could have stung her if it weren't for Greninja. "He just protected you." At the trainer's words, she looked at the Pokemon that still had its eyes closed. "Greninja, thank you for your help," she thanked him, but the Pokemon looked for a moment, and then walked away to find Sceptile for a meeting. "I apologize for Greninja's attitude. He doesn't tend to trust those he just met, but he's a great Pokemon if you get to know him." "I can see that your past wasn't easy, right?" she asked, having a theory about his behavior. "He had like 17 trainers before I caught him." "So he was hurt?" "It never was as far as I know, but only I can understand it. I hope you want to meet him. I'm sure you both will love it." She smiled at the Raven's words, knowing and understanding the good person Ash is, regretting for the umpteenth time that he could not have him in his nobility. And even more so when he has learned of all the actions he has heard about his rival. Being envious of his red-haired rival. "Hey Ash." His thoughts were interrupted when he heard a roar. They both looked, and saw who it was. The same Kanto fire starter who looked at Ash challengingly. "Do you want to fight Charizard?" The Pokemon responded by throwing a flamethrower into the air, demonstrating its fiery nature. "Well, if you want it, you'll have it." But he was interrupted when he saw that Charizard was not the only one. Almost all of his strongest Pokemon looked at him with the same eyes as the starter. They wanted to challenge him. He smiled, knowing or expecting this. Well, if that's what they want, they'll have it. The girls of both nobility worried about that. Except for Serena, who was already expecting it in some way. "Don't worry, this won't get any worse," is what she said to calm them down. "Hey Tinkerbell, is this normal between them?" the Gremory asked the trainer. "Not really. I feel like this is due to the way Ash fought in the ratings, and knowing that they are Ash's Pokemon, they want to compete with him. I really hope that the barrier they put up is proof against powerful attacks." I'd better get it better before it starts. Can you help me, Shinra-san?" is what the brunette said, smiling at what was going to happen and asking Queen Citri for help. "I will do it," she replied to the request. Now everyone was looking from a remote area at Ash, who was in the middle of what would be the battlefield. Pikachu was in Rias' lap as he wanted no part of that, just like other Pokemon who also didn't want to face their trainer. While the trainer was surrounded by his strongest Pokemon from different regions. "Ano, Ash-san will be okay?" "Don't worry, Asia, he'll be fine," is what the user of the fairy powers said. But she was also worried about the boy. Rias, holding Pikachu in her arms, intended to not only stop that but to help him. And it was obvious 8 against 1 was not even at all. But he couldn't do anything because Ash himself asked for it that way. "Hey Rias." She came out of her passive state when she was called by her rival Aris. "Ash used an unknown power in the rating game, right? Do you think we will have a chance to see it?" "I'm not sure, Sona, but we'll have to see." After that they remained silent so they could see the battle that was about to begin. In the middle, Ash had his eyes closed as if he was taking his time, while the already anxious Pokemon waited for the same trainer to start. Until he opened them, smiling for fighting. "Okay, let's do it." And with those words, and some battle roars, they started. Crocodile launched an attack with his dragon claws, and just when he was in front of him, he dropped his claws ready to cut him. But disappeared. The desert Pokemon didn't expect its trainer to do that. "I'm here." And he knew he had fallen into a trap when he heard the voice of the black man above his head. It was Ash, who was about to finish off his Pokemon with a hammer blow. But Pam. He was hit in the face by a Bill's punch from Sceptile, who used his good speed to intercept it. He was thrown, and in the air he put his feet and stopped his advance, and then looked while wiping his cheek. That was a good hit, Sceptile. The starter kept his seriousness, knowing that this was just beginning. While with the spectators, they were amazed by the speed of the starter. "I could barely see it," is what Queen Citri said. "What you saw is just a greeting, this is just beginning," said Queen Gremory. Back to the battle. The trainer launched himself, and with good technique threw punches at an incredible speed in which the grass type could barely keep up as he dodged and blocked. Boom! He stopped as he watched his blow being stopped. Ash didn't understand what was happening until he realized. It's too late already. Behind him, coming out of the ground, Shinon's starter came out with a powerful thunder punch. He managed to stop that fist with a hand full of aura, but he felt that something was not right. And it's a shame he was right. He received a blow to the stomach by a megahorn from her cross. Both starters were a distraction to connect and attack. He was pushed even though he had his Pokemon's horn in his stomach trying to remove it. The Pokemon stopped his trajectory using its wings and left the trainer. He grabbed the ground to break, but I don't expect the next thing. Lycanroc and Crocodile themselves had him in their sights. They both slammed their tails on the ground to make it tremble. The magnitude is 10. He was trapped. Damn, I didn't expect such an elaborate trap from them. You can see they trained enough. They're your partner Pokemon, they learn everything from you, get out of there using your wings. He followed his tenant's suggestion, and using his demonic wings he rose into the air to escape the earthquake. But someone at the speed of a jet hit him very hard. He saw that it was Garchomp, who used Dragon Claw on his fins to land a slash on his trainer. They coordinate their attacks better. This is crazy. Why doesn't he fight seriously? Is what Sona asked, worried when she saw that her Kohai was getting beaten up. Because I'm not serious. Mutuo told us that he has the bad habit of not going all out in a fight. He gets too confident, or tends to test his opponents. Rias answered, very worried by what she saw and amazed by the power of the jet black Pokemon. Well, he better do something now or else he'll be in serious trouble. Ash's Pokemon have trained very well to test themselves against Ash, and they know him very well, so they want him to start getting serious. Serena's words caught everyone's attention, and they looked at the match seriously, waiting for something to happen. While with Ash, he was having trouble evading Garchomp's Draco Meteor, and even more so when he saw that he wasn't holding back. Okay, this is not good. When he left the range of the attack, he had to use all his flexibility to be able to evade a shadow slash from Greninja that would almost cut his neck, and not only that. The same Pokemon used its Water Shuriken to fight hand-to-hand, and Ash did everything possible to avoid it. But when Ash responded by throwing a punch, the Pokemon vanished like an illusion. He's using Double Team. And without being able to foresee it, he was surrounded by many Greninjas who had shadow cuts. So each of them attacked the black-haired man without giving him any rest. But when he finished off the last of them, Sceptile and Infernape came out and attacked the trainer with punches and kicks, pushing him through mounds of rock that broke into many pieces. And both of them with a joint blow hit Ash to send him flying. But he used his wings to stop and then rise to a safe distance. But when he looked from the air, he saw that his 7 Pokemon were ready to follow. One moment. 7? Where is it? He couldn't continue as he felt a large flamethrower approaching. Using his speed, he evaded that attack, but he didn't expect to receive a thunder strike that sent him crashing to the ground. It was his strongest Pokemon, Charizard. But the initial one didn't stop there. The same starter went out in a dive and hit the stunned trainer with Dragon Tail, leaving a large sinkhole and raising dust. But I don't end there. From the dust came the initial fire, with Ash himself taking him by the arms in a lock, and then taking flight high into the sky. Serena knew what was going to happen. Ash. Serena, what's wrong? Rias asked, feeling that her pawn was in trouble. Charizard is going to finish him off with Earthquake, and at that point it's very lethal. Everyone, now knowing what was going to happen, just watched helplessly as Ash tried to get out of the fire/flying type's grip. But it was useless. The Pokemon spun around in the air a lot, making the technique work. And then with a lot of G-force he dived down, and then crashed Ash into the ground, making him tremble, leaving a large sinkhole and also raising a lot of dust. It is impossible that even a high-class demon would not be seriously injured and paralyzed by that devastating attack. There was silence. Nobody spoke. And the Pokemon looked at the sinkhole where their trainer fell as if waiting for something. Asia, heal Ash. The blonde nodded, preparing her sacred gear, but... Hi. I don't move forward when I hear Serena's voice, her eyes shadowed by her hair. Serena, Ash could be right now. I told you to stop. Rias stopped talking when the Pelamio raised her voice. The Pelamio gritted her teeth and her fists clenched, knowing that this is not what it seems. When he said that word, the ground began to shake. A tremor shocked everyone, and even more so when the small rocks began to levitate as if gravity had already gone away. The strongest Pokemon did not take their eyes off the sinking, as if they were waiting for that power to arrive. And the demons felt a pure power growing. But the most surprised was Sona, feeling such purity that only the most immaculate angel would have. So much so that his heart was racing with excitement and joy, as if he wanted to hold it in his hands. Something powerful was beginning to arrive. What is this pure energy, Rias? What kind of being would have such raw power? You'll see right now, Rias replied, having felt that pure power before and having a hand on her chest because of her heart beating 100 times an hour. Enjoying that feeling every second. Pikachu smiled, knowing that something is coming. Serena-san? Asia asked, wanting to know what the honey-haired girl was talking about. But she smiled and looked up with determination. And he said, "Here it comes." What followed next would remain in everyone's mind until his death. Play the Cyan Blue Oast from Dragon Ball Super. And from where the trainer had fallen, a pillar of blue energy emerged, illuminating the sky. The Pokemon were between fearful and excited, knowing where that power comes from. The demons and the girls could not believe that such a bright and pure energy existed. A shadow rose from the rubble of the pillar, as if they saw a divine being or a hero rise to return to battle. When the light faded, the being was surrounded by pure blue aura that enveloped him like sacred fire. The Pokemon smiled, knowing that they have now gotten what they wanted. And wrapped in aura, that being was the trainer himself. It was Ash. And when I turned to see them, his blue eyes showed only one emotion: determination. Okay, guys. The Pokemon were anxiously awaiting the start of what would be the best of all the battles they have experienced. Round 2. And without anyone knowing it, boom! I hit Charizard with a kick. In just half a second he covered a distance of 100 meters, and even the fastest ones were unable to react in time to do anything. Greninja, Sceptile, and Infernape were shocked, not expecting their trainer's speed to so far surpass their own. And as a delayed effect, Charizard was sent flying into the trees and leaving a trail of destruction after his breaking. The rest of the strongest did not worry. They knew the initial fire was tough enough to withstand that. The starters of Hone and Shernon launched into the attack, preparing a blow, but he, as if he were some kind of slow-motion deity, stopped the attacks of both Pokemon as if it were nothing, leaving everyone in shock, and even more so those who were barely able to see him as the knights of both nobilities. This is incredible, Rias. What kind of power is that? Sona could hardly believe that such strong and pure power existed. That thing you see, Sona, is an incorruptible energy. It is the aura, said Rias, having the pleasure of boasting how incredible her beloved peon and possible lover was. On the other hand, Serena smiled, knowing that Ash was still okay, while the rest of the demons looked on in amazement at the display of power and how, without much effort, the now blue-haired man returned to battle as a legendary warrior. The Pokemon that were in the trainer's hands were thrown far away when he spun them around, and in the air both tried to stop their trajectory by putting their feet on the ground and firing their seed bullet and flamethrower attacks. But when the attacks collided with their target, it disappeared from their sight. The black smoke did not allow them to see any of the Pokemon they were looking for to know where it would appear. But they didn't expect the following. From the ground where Crocodile was, the trainer came out, and without warning he took the dark/ground Pokemon, surrounding his chest with his arms, and did a suplex, crashing him hard against the ground. Heracross, seeing that, charged at him with Demolition and tried to hit him, but Ash was already expecting that, and when he got up and crossed his arms to stop that blow, it moved him from his place by a few centimeters. The spectators knew from the sound of the blow that this attack was very powerful. The towers of both nobility knew that if they had been the ones to stop that blow, they could have broken their arms. The beetle Pokemon struck repeatedly, trying to break the trainer's tough defense but couldn't. It was like trying to break down a defense of pure steel. The trainer went on the offensive, and an exchange of blows took place in which Heracross, no matter how hard he tried, could not resist any longer. Ash thought he had it already. But I don't expect his Pokemon's fist to be surrounded by blue energy. And with that energy, the blow. Ash stopped the blow with his arms, but he didn't expect the next thing. He took a lot of damage, as if he had taken all of his hits himself. That damage and the force of the blow forced him to retreat. When the effect passed from his body, smoke began to appear in the areas where he received damage. But it seemed that Ash was not affected much. It is more. Heracross, you've gotten stronger, my friend. I didn't think you were going to use inversion to give me back all the damage I did to you, but you couldn't stand my attacks either, so you sacrificed your body so you could score a hit on me, right? The bug/fighting Pokemon, about to faint from the powerful aura blows it received, only smiled in affirmation of its trainer's words. From now on we will train you to become stronger, I promise you. And with those words the Pokemon fell smiling, knowing that he had obtained the approval of the person who trained him and made him what he is. Ash put a hand on his fallen Pokemon's head and smiled, being proud of him. He stood up to look at the rest of them who still wanted to fight. They were the ones who are good at speed. His 4 fast ones. Okay guys, I guess this will be more serious than you wanted. I want you to come at me with everything you have, is what he said, increasing his aura even more, becoming stronger. They were not intimidated by that power, since they waited a long time for it since that raiding game. And now, nothing can stop them. While both nobility could not help but feel somewhat identified with Heracross when seeing how he gave his all to impress his trainer in that last attack. The girls felt sad about him. The only boys were proud of him as a worthy fighter. Instead, Kaneko felt more useless, knowing that despite her new technique that she has in her arsenal, it was not enough to prevent Ash from receiving damage from her that time. He stopped complaining when he felt Ash's aura continue to increase, and in the blink of an eye it disappeared, and then his fastest Pokemon did the same. In the eyes of people who were not used to speed or who had good reflexes, they only watched as thunderous sounds and super hitting sounds were present on the field. But in the eyes of the Knights and Queen Citri it was different. Ash fought at full speed, dodging and blocking blows and slashes coming from Sceptile and Greninja, who had their Saber Leaf and Shadow Slash in use. Both of them did not contain themselves. Infernape and Lycanroc joined him to hit him with Thunder Punch and Quick Attack. On one side they were on the left, and in the blink of an eye they were on the right. With each shock wave a depression was formed in the ground. The demons couldn't believe it. Tsubaki, can you see them? Sona asked her queen. Yes, Kaicho, and what I see is something I can't believe. Ash-kun, despite having problems taking care of many of his Pokemon, doesn't let his rhythm drop, and his Pokemon aren't holding back. That left the demons speechless. Yodo, is that true? The redhead asked her knight. It is, Bucho. Ash-kun has improved a lot at a very fast pace. That is why now I am having a hard time keeping up with them. His speed is superior to mine, and his Pokemon can barely catch up with him using their fastest movements. Now Sona had no doubt that Rias had gained a very powerful ally. Not only was he strong, but he has powerful creatures that will follow him no matter what. And that pure power that not only makes him stronger but also makes his qualities stand out more than those she noticed from the first day she met him. She just clenched the edges of her skirt as she looked at everything with envy and jealousy, knowing that this great and only boy who didn't look down on her was out of her reach. Since she could remember, despite wanting to, she never had someone she could call a friend. Rias was his friend, but she was also his rival, so he couldn't have that privilege with her. Despite the years when she came to the human world and formed her own nobility, she still felt that everyone looked at her as if she were some kind of deity or executioner who would judge them for their sins. She had lost hope. Until that day. On a walk through the halls she met him when she stumbled on his way. And when I looked into his eyes, she could feel that no matter how strict she was with him, he was never afraid of her harsh gaze. The coach, with only his words and his good heart, penetrated his cold shell of indifference and contempt to become his friend. She knew that no matter how hard she was on him, Ash would always give her a smile that would make her strict maiden heart feel joy. She could only lower her gaze and clench her teeth, something that both rivals for the first alpha spot noticed. "What do you have?" "Nothing, Rias, it's nothing," she lied. She had everything except Ash. And that made her regret and wish things were different. While with Ash, Lycanroc and Infernape crashed into the trees, breaking them in half, their bodies sore from fighting so much but still conscious and wanting to return to battle. Sceptile and Greninja gave their trainer no respite. They have left him with multiple cuts that, although not lethal, have hurt him with their attacks. But that hasn't stopped him just when they were thinking of giving him a synchronous cut. Ting. They were arrested. It was the same trainer, and this time he used his forearms, which were covered with an aura that took the form of Templar shields. Everyone in shock couldn't help but wonder. Can the aura also be shaped? The Pokemon were caught off guard. And Ash took advantage of that to undo the shields and form aura spheres in both hands, and with them hit them both, sending them flying. The 4 had fallen and the rest had no strength to continue. Or so he thought. As I turned around to stop a powerful thunder strike. It was the same Charizard that returned to battle, and this time he is more motivated than ever. He walked away a little while standing on the already destroyed battlefield. The starters stood up even though they wanted to fight, while the others could do nothing but watch. And the spectators couldn't take their eyes off what was still the most brutal and intense battle they had ever witnessed in their lives. The trainer, still hurt and with blood on his cuts, couldn't help but smile when he saw how his Pokemon had fought with everything. "Guys, I am very proud of you. I know you wanted to challenge me to prove something to me." Those who were watching paid attention to the blue-eyed man's words, wanting to know the reason for this whole matter. They wanted to show me that I can still count on you. They didn't want me to leave you aside. The look on the faces of the first ones was enough of an answer to know that he hit the mark with his assumption. They felt fear since they knew that their trainer became stronger in a different universe. Fear of not being strong enough to protect him. Fear of being left aside for being weak. Fear of being forgotten. So when they were called to help the new friends he made in that universe, they couldn't help but feel happy to know that he still loved and needed them. But when they saw his fight with that guy who could rival a Moltres, they couldn't help but feel useless seeing how he fought and won fair and square without their help in beating him. They felt forgotten. So that led them to do what we are now witnessing. I just want to tell you. The Pokemon came out of their thoughts when they heard Ash speak again. I love you. You are my dearest friends who have decided to follow a trainer who has not won a single league in his life. I should be the one who thinks that I don't deserve you. I don't deserve Pokemon as amazing as you. I feel that with every lost league I have disappointed you, and don't say that. The roar of the Kanto starter took him out of his bad thoughts, wanting it not to come back to his head. You are no disappointment. Sceptile also roared in response to his trainer's words. He didn't want to see him like that. You are a champion before us. Infernape was not far behind. If it weren't for him, the same one who took him in after being abandoned by Paul would not be what he is now. Who cares about titles? You are and will be our most important pillar. You are our trainer Greninja, the one most attached to Ash and the one who did not accept others because of his desire to improve, could not help but want to hit him and make him forget those thoughts that do not go with him. Ash, thanks to his aura, could feel the feelings of his Pokemon. He could feel and understand that no matter what happens, they are and will always be there for him. Hence, he smiled and returned to normal, letting them know that there is no need to fight anymore. He collapsed to his knees and couldn't stop a few tears from falling from his eyelids, wanting to stop them from coming out. Unsuccessful. His Pokemon, all of them without exception, surrounded him, and in their own way joined in his moment of happiness. And Pikachu, Ash's first Pokemon, jumped into his arms, wanting and letting him know that they will always be the best friends, whether in good times or bad. The demons couldn't help but feel happy for the trainer when they saw how loyal their Pokemon were to him, as if they were a family made by the bonds and forged by the adversities they had to go through throughout their travels in their own world. Rias, I am so envious of you. You don't know what a great guy you have in your group. Sona no longer cared. Now she said what she felt, fighting the urge to shed tears. I know, Sona, and I am very happy to have you by my side, is what she said, without adulteration or boasting, with tears in her eyes. Being happy for him. Serena smiled, remembering why she loves Ash. Remembering that it is because of his big and happy heart that he loves him so much. That day, both nobility understood that the ties with your friends are one of the most important things that should never be forgotten. Yeah, I'm so tired. These were the words of a tired Ash who had Pikachu on his shoulder, who was also tired. So many emotions for one day. I think it was a lot for them. Rias, Serena, and Asia walked with him, unable to help but feel happy, because even though there will be more challenges to come, they can always count on him, and they know that he can count on them whenever he wants and however he wants. You know what I mean, right? He who knows it knows it. When the group reached the door and the coach touched the knob, he turned it, hoping that for today the day would end. Crash. Pam. Or so he thought. Since without any warning he received a flaming kick in the face, and Pikachu a tremendous iron tail in the face. Due to the force of such an impact, they were thrown into the middle of the street. I must say that had to hurt. And a lot. Finally you deigned to appear. For the love of Arceus, couldn't you at least let him in? You know very well that he must be punished for worrying us like that. Ash opened his eyes wide when he heard those voices. I knew those voices very well, and they were from a couple of people I didn't want to piss off. Unfortunately, that is no longer possible. May? Dawn? Serena just named them without believing that they were in this world without Pokemon, and with the supernatural in sight of a few. Rias didn't know what to say. More friends of Ash from his world equals more rivals. The same thought was had by ex-sister Asia, who did not know whether to feel angry or intimidated by the temperament that the coordinators now had. As for Ash, he only had one thought. Damn you, Arceus, because me. And just like the trainer, Pikachu was also having the same problem. May's Pokemon Glacian and Dawn's Pokemon Bunnyary are also very angry, wanting an explanation. Maybe Packham was right. Trainer and Pokemon tend to share the same fate. So while they were arguing with Serena and Sylvian, they both did what every brave and cool man would do in their place. Flee. Ash, come back here and take your punishment like a man. May, very angry and with her fists full of fire, went after the trainer to punish him. May, calm down for a moment. Dawn went after her, trying to calm her down and demand an explanation from the brunette. Girls, please stop. Serena tried to calm them both down and also save Ash. Many explosions and many sorry were heard at the scene. Surprisingly, no one heard anything, or there would be trouble. Yes. Arceus likes to screw up Ash's life, and he did it in a big way. While somewhere at a Tokyo airplane terminal, two unknown people in white robes are on their way to one stop from their destination. We are almost at Ko. We just have to take the train to that region. I know, by the way, what did the higher-ups tell you about that energy we felt when we got here? I was told that although our mission is a priority, having the possessor of that pure energy at any cost is also a top priority. Let's just hope that the resident demons of that place haven't taken it. I don't want to be forced to eliminate such a pure being. Me too. I hope he's a cute boy. I can't understand Protestants and their tastes. At least I can get married, but I think you will die a virgin. It's a shame you're a virgin, maybe you'll never become a mother. That's what she said without knowing that those words affected her partner in a certain way. And so they both headed to the place where our heroes reside, unaware that a battle will be fought that will decide the fate of the world as we know it. But for now. Chapter 11. "I'm May Balance, nice to meet you," said a brown-haired girl in the school's female uniform without much enthusiasm, not to mention that she had her arms crossed with an air of, "Don't bother me." "And I'm Dawn Berlitz, nice to meet you, and we hope to get along," while a blue-haired girl also introduced herself, smiling happily, spreading joy. "I think it's more than obvious what's going on, and the truth is I'll just say that the boys in the classroom were crying with joy for having two pretty girls in their classroom that they dream of having as girlfriends. It's a pity that that won't be possible. To clarify something, Dawn and I are the girlfriends of the incompetent over there." Everyone present turned their gaze in the direction the brunette was pointing. And it was none other than Ketchum. That's right, it was Ash who had his gaze on a book, avoiding being seen. He was not bothered by the screams of the jealous boys who wanted to kill him for having not only Serena but also the two new girls and those from the club. "Ketchum-san has something to say?" asked the teacher on duty, who was curious about that. But the black-haired boy did not respond. "Ketchum-san, put the book down now," he ordered. The black man let out a heavy sigh and resignedly lowered the book. Everyone was surprised and the girls were very jealous since the black-haired boy had multiple red marks on his neck and his left eye was purple. Can you explain to me what happened to you, Ketchum-san?" the teacher asked with some doubt. Well, I fell silent when I saw May's murderous look, while Serena just sighed heavily, knowing that she would not only have to deal with Rias but also with her friends from her world. "What you don't know is that it's going to get worse." Already at lunchtime, sitting in the shade of a tree. "Ash, does it still hurt?" were Dawn's worried words as she held a napkin with ice to soothe the brunette's bruises. "Not so much anymore. I tried to use my aura to help myself, although I don't know if it's capable of healing wounds like cuts and stab wounds." "Mutau said there are still things the aura can be applied to, but he told you to be careful," Serena commented. "If you are so reckless, I myself will leave your face 10 times worse than it already is," May threatened, letting out a little fire from her mouth. "May, I think you went too far yesterday." "I know we were worried, but I don't think she deserves such a punishment," Dawn replied. "Do you want me to remind you how he had that blonde with wings of fire in his arms? And also how that redhead kissed him? And you tell me that he didn't deserve it?" "May, I want you to calm down," Serena ordered as she saw a burning red aura coming out of her body. Seeing how her aura came out, she calmed down, and it dissolved. "Look, I know that maybe that bothered you a lot, but you must calm your emotions since fire-type powers manifest with your strong emotions. Try to control yourself, please." "Sorry, Serena, and you too, Dawn, I got carried away." "No excuses for me?" asked the black-haired boy, holding the ice in his eye. "Do you deserve them?" the brunette threatened him. "Let's calm down, and when we're done we'll go to the club. There are still some people you should know," said Serena, trying to calm things down. And already finishing lunch, Ash went ahead to the club while Serena was stopped by the two coordinators. "Serena, have you told Ash yet?" Dawn asked. She just sighed. "I haven't told him anything." "Serena, you know that we are running out of time. Arceus has many plans for him now that his aura has awakened, and the worst thing is that the girls of this world, plus the demons, have no control. Ash's aura is pure and they are affected by that power, and that he could only use 10%. If he reaches 50 or more there will be serious consequences. In short, he will end up grayed by girls who will not be able to control their desires." May finished Dawn's words. "I know, Mutau told me, and the worst thing is that he is attracting more girls as enemies and more because of his dragon power, but now is not the time to talk about that with him. Serena, if we all agreed it was so that we could be with him, don't think only about yourself, or about us, think about Ash, who deserves to know." Dawn spoke. "As I told you, now is not the time, but we will keep an eye on them in case Ash manages to reach 50. Come on, we have to catch up with him," was the last thing he said before walking straight to the club. Both girls looked at each other, and then walked and followed their friend, praying that the honeymooner was right. Things at the club were going well. The girls were able to get along with the rest of the members and chatted about girl stuff while outside. Ash practiced a bit with a short wooden sword with Kiba and two of his Pokemon Sceptile and Greninja. This was seen by Rias, who watched them train from the window, realizing that Ash was getting stronger and faster than normal. And also seeing how the black-haired boy practiced the fluid movements of the sword well. She thought, maybe I should give Ash a weapon. He is improving more and more, and I feel that his sacred gear and his aura will not be enough. The good thing is that I already sent someone to forge a sword of his style. While outside, both boys were having masks moving at unique speeds. After change, Ash's shout was in order for Kiba to come out, and then Sceptile to take his place using his saber blade and giving lethal slashes to the Raven, who had his wooden sword surrounded by aura in which he attacked and blocked. Change. The change was made, and the same Greninja with lethal speed and more with his double team attacked the Jet Black from all directions, in which the same trainer had difficulties. One by one he finished the copies for later. Change. The same Yellow Mouse with quick attack and Iron Tail will attack and give accurate slashes, in which Ash had a hard time. Kiba stopped and waited for Ash to take a breath, as he was very tired from using his aura and the adrenaline in his body. You have improved, Ash-kun. Your movements almost surpass me. I know, Kiba-senpai, I have to train more, he said, drinking from a bottle of water while his Pokemon did the same. Don't worry, training too much can be harmful to you. You must listen to Kiba, Ash. The third voice is from Saji, who was returning from his training with one of Ash's Pokemon, which was Crocodile, hoping to become stronger. I know, Saji-senpai, but the truth is I would like to learn more ways to become stronger, if I want to fulfill my mission here in this world. And what is that mission, Ash? Well, I think it's time for me to tell you. Hey, Little Bell, I want to ask you a question. I hope you don't mind. Not at all, Redhead. Shoot. What is your god's motive for bringing you here to our world? The reason is still unknown to us, even Ash doesn't know. That left everyone present silent. Any other questions you want to ask me? Who is Arceus? They all turned to see that it was Sona along with her queen Tsubaki, who had just entered. Dawn. I have it. The blue-haired girl took out a disc and left it on the tea table, where a hologram showed a white-bodied creature with a golden ring with 4 points for legs and 18 boards that rotated around it. He is our god in charge of caring for and protecting our world from external forces. He is a legendary Pokemon who created our world and Pokemon, father of the legendary gods of time and space, Dialga and Palkia. Those present who had no knowledge of Pokemon looked at the hologram very attentively, and were fascinated by such a creature considered a god. It is said that when he was born the Big Bang originated, said Dawn. Many believe that it is just a myth, a fairy tale, but it really exists, and we were sent here to protect Ash or keep him under control, said May with some annoyance at the problems Ash caused. Controlled? Asia asked. Problems tend to seek you out, and sometimes those problems. Better not say anything, May said Serena, trying to dispel the curiosity of those present. Is there any danger involving Ash-kun? Sona asked seriously, receiving a look from her queen and the others. For now, none, but something we learned traveling with him would be that. Always expect the unexpected. Dawn finished, making it clear that she won't say more. The days passed, and things were going well. Dawn and May had grown accustomed to living and attending school and were training with Ash and Serena on their powers granted from the Arceus tablets. Rias and Asia became friends with them easily, and sometimes they trained. Ash had a routine of training, making contracts, spending time with his friends, and then more training. I wanted to start using the aura to maximum control and maximum power. But he also noticed that his partner and friend Kiba was starting to act strange and serious. Kiba didn't talk much anymore. He was distracted. Once he got distracted and almost bled to death after receiving a shadow slash from Greninja. I tried to talk to him and ask him what was wrong, but he had no answer because Ash was hurt that his friend behaved that way. But what would happen next would be something that would start a change to the 3 factions of Christianity. Ash looked at his history book without any interest, still worried about his friend, looking for a way to help him. Ash, what's wrong? Rias asked worriedly since the book the Raven had was upside down. Nothing me, it's just that. You're worried about Yudo-kun, right? I want to help him but I don't know how. She sat next to him on the couch, looking at him. Give him time, Ash. There are times when one wants to deal with his problems alone. I know that if he feels safe he will ask for your help. She smiled at him while with her hand she touched his cheek lovingly. Although he was conflicted, Ash knew his mistress was right and that he would speak when he was ready. That annoyed Serena, who was preparing tea with Akino's help. May and Dawn, who were talking to Asia about some things, also got upset but couldn't do anything for now. By the way, Little Red, when will the church's messengers arrive? The ones you said have been here for 3 days? You won't leave me alone with my cute Ash, right, Tinkerbell? She said, annoyed because he interrupted her moment with mustard. How do you think? I would be incapable of something like that. I am a soul of Arceus. You could say that their rivalry has not diminished at all. The scene changed. Now Rias and Sona sat there looking seriously and politely at the 2 church envoys while the rest were around the club in case things went wrong. Rias took the precaution of having her strongest pieces behind her, as did Sona, who mentally thanked the redhead for having Ash nearby to feel safer. The sent ones. They were both 17-year-old girls, one with almond gold eyes, short blue hair with a green lock on her forehead, and the other with purple eyes and honey brown hair tied in 2 pigtails. They were both wearing white robes, not forgetting that the blue-haired girl had a large object wrapped in white bandages. We apologize for not meeting with you earlier as we had matters to resolve here. My name is Irina Shido. The girl with pigtails spoke. Would you like to know what kind of business they were that they didn't come to our territory first? Sona asked seriously. It's something that doesn't interest you and I would appreciate it if you didn't ask any more. And I'm Zenobia Corda. The blue-haired girl spoke arrogantly, bothering the Demon Kings. And may I know why you are here to request a meeting with us? Rias asked, having a bad feeling about them, and more so when she saw how the girl called Irina looked with a blush at Ash, who was scratching behind Pikachu's ears. We are on a mission to recover the 2 of the 7 Excaliburs that were taken by confirmation of our superiors from Kokobile himself, one of the leaders of Grigori. The atmosphere was tense because of Zenobia's words. None of those present spoke. And do you know what his objective is? Or do you have a plan to stop him at least? Rias asked. We know this, and we have come to ask you not to interfere in this mission that we have. Our superiors do not want the demons to get involved, and they should not interfere in our second. Irina, don't talk anymore, they don't have to know. Come on, Zenobia, they might know something. I told you no, they won't have it. The talks continued, and the same heiresses gave their word that they will not get involved in the matter of the sacred swords, but Ash was worried. The reason was simple. Kiba's gaze was a very lethal one, directed at both exorcists. And just as they were getting ready to leave, something happened. You know, I didn't think it was her, but now that I see you, I have no doubt that it's you. You are the sacred maid Asia Argento, said Zenobia, looking seriously at Asia. The blonde felt intimidated and afraid. Are you the same nun who was accused of heresy for curing the demon that killed an archbishop? Are you her? Irina asked curiously. No, she didn't know what to say. Tell me, do you still believe in God? The blue-haired girl asked haughtily. Zenobia, I don't think she still believes and prays to our God. I feel your guilt, but I don't feel any remorse. Don't you regret what you did? Your actions caused the death of an important archbishop? She asked. The green-eyed blonde remained silent. Many thought that guilt won him over. I don't regret it. These words left the exorcists in shock. I do not regret having cured that demon, and I do not regret having done good to someone who did not deserve it, since that was the teaching I grew up with, and every day, even though it hurts my head to do it. I thank God for having put me on this path, since now I have friends, people that I am willing to risk my life for, and if life tries to take them away from me, I will only repeat to myself, never give up, until the end. That left everyone present surprised, the black-haired girl and Apellamil smiling with pride, knowing that their actions had a great influence on her. Rias was happy to know that the one she considered a younger sister was happy being with her peerage, which she sees as her family. But the blue-haired girl got angry. He was enraged to see that the one who is now considered a heretic which did not repent of anything that she did not repent of her sins. So with eyes covered by the shadow of her hair, I take the large object, and it unwrapped itself from its bandages, revealing itself to be a huge blue sword. May the sins you have committed on earth be atoned for in heaven. Zenobia, what are you going to do? Irina was scared of what her partner was going to do. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Zenobia asked as she demanded when she saw how he wanted to attack. Amen. Everything happened in slow motion. The blue-haired girl waved her sword pointing at the blonde's neck. But what he didn't tell Ketchum was that the same blade was stopped 20 centimeters before it reached its target. It was Ash himself who with his booster gear stopped the blade without any effort, looking at Zenobia calmly and with bright blue eyes. Miss, I would ask you to please lower your weapon and leave, before we force you to do so. Ash's words were full of seriousness and firmness, showing that he was not intimidated by the sacred aura of the sword or the hostile look that the exorcist was sending him. Who are you to stop me from doing God's work? She asked furiously, wanting to punish the heretic and that fool for preventing her work. Return, apostate Israel. I will not look upon you with anger. I will not bear any grudge against you forever, for I am merciful. Jeremiah 3:12b. Those words shocked everyone except Serena and her friends. Ash that? Rias asked in shock. Ash-kun, was that a? Asia asked, still in shock. I'm sorry if I read it from your Bible, Asia-san. It's just that I was a little interested in this God that you admire so much. I think he's a great man. If he's capable of forgiving those who crucified his own son, I would like to meet him and talk to him and have him clarify what happened to you. Since a being who forgives the evils of the world could not forgive what you did, knowing that it was his own teachings that led you to do it. She couldn't help but cry with happiness, knowing how pure of heart Ash is to want to protect her and face God himself on her behalf. She felt a hand on her shoulder, and it was Serena and her newest friends giving her their unconditional support. But a demon that can read the Bible and not be harmed? Impossible. I look at Ash angrily. Impossible. Her anger dominated her. It's impossible. You're a demon. I may be a demon, but at least. He brought his face closer until they were face to face, still looking at her firmly, holding Pikachu on his shoulder, which was releasing electric sparks from his cheeks. I enjoy every moment of what I am, what I do, and I don't regret anything. Who are you? She asked, fearing that firm gaze, dropping her sword. I'm Ash Ketchum, and now a dark energy came out, and his eyes turned blood red. You made me really angry. The church's envoys made Ash angry, and he doesn't plan to hold back. The fights have gone to another level, and one that will decide the future of the three factions is about to arrive. But for now. Chapter 12. They were afraid. The dark aura that the jet gave off was so scary that they doubted if they could survive. If this is a duel, I'm in. It was the blonde knight who with a look of hatred took out his levitating swords. Who are you? I'm your senpai, but I'm supposedly defective. Ash. Ash, don't do it. Don't worry, girls, I'll take care of it. Serena and Rias just sighed, knowing how stubborn the boy of their thoughts was. The backyard of the building. The two exorcists were preparing to fight, while the blonde was all ready. Ash, wait. The trainer stopped when he heard the voice of his red-haired mistress. She had a rectangular box in her arms. This is my gift, and I think you will need it in future battles. She handed it to him, and the black-haired boy curiously opened it. I don't expect to see a short sword. Wow, thanks, Bucho, this will really help me a lot. On the outside Rias was smiling, but on the inside she was worried. This is not what I asked for, was what a man in charge of making the delivery said to him. I'm sorry, Ojo-sama, but it was Mao-sama's orders that this sword be delivered to his pawn. But this sword is strict orders. The demon had to grit her teeth in frustration as she knew what that sword was. I hope everything goes well. I hoped for the best, knowing the fate of those who have carried that sword. Okay, he put the sword behind his waist, and with his right hand he took the handle to take the sword out of its sheath. Let's do it. The moment he took the mango, Rias expected the worst, but nothing happened, which confused her. Ash with his sword in hand stood next to Kiba ready to fight, but he was worried that his friend was laughing, which is not a good sign. The exorcists took off their robes to get ready to fight in their tight battle suits. Ash didn't pay attention to that and focused on fighting. Kiba-senpai, we need a plan. Kiba, don't wait. The blonde launched himself towards the blue-haired girl with multiple swords in the area. Both of them exchanged blows and stabs with good skill. Worrying the black-haired boy even more, he could notice something in his knight friend's movements. Shit. Irina prepared her sword to attack, which took the form of a katana. He blocked the attack by inertia. Despite the dark power you have, I can feel in you a pure and noble soul. A person like you cannot be with demons. What are you trying to say? With my Excalibur I will purify you so that you may be saved by the glory of the Lord. And you know I can die if I get cut by that sword, right? Haven't you heard that death is just the beginning? She said, lunging to land another slash. The jet easily blocked them. No, and I don't want to try it. The sword moved as if it had a life of its own and transformed into a Nagatana that caught the trainer off guard. How did that weapon change shape? That must be a skill, partner, you must be careful. The black-haired man, using his speed, evaded the multiple blades and managed to get behind the exorcist. But he couldn't do anything when the sword changed into a chain with an arrowhead and tried to stab the trainer. Okay, I'll have to take this more seriously. I got you. Hey! The chain, like a whip, hit the trainer's legs, giving him unbearable pain. He walked away, but the pain in his legs was very strong. I'm going to purify you. Irina's gaze was worthy of a Yandere. While Kiba was having trouble as every sword he created was destroyed upon contact with the blue-haired girl's blade. Damn, it didn't do anything and the wounds I have don't help me much. I see that you can't do much, but I'm going to take advantage of this moment to find out something. That made the knight curious. Do you know anything about pure energy? Kiba knew what the exorcist meant. She is looking for Ash's aura. I must not allow them to get close to Ash, if they could feel his aura. He imagined his friend locked in a cage with the power-hungry gaze of the priests and archbishops on him, being used as a weapon. He tightened his grip on the handle as he imagined that. I will not allow that. And so Kiba created another sword and made use of his speed to inflict some damage, while Ash was having trouble as he couldn't find any openings in the girl's defense. There has to be something I can do. He was going to attack, but another pain came to him, causing his legs to lose mobility. Oh no, not now. The girl made the sword transform into a halberd, and with it she planned to finish off the black-haired boy. Ash! The girl screamed, fearing the worst. Amen. He closed his eyes, but without knowing it his body moved on its own, and he avoided the deadly cut, and then with a wave of his sword, a large wound was made on the exorcist's shoulder. Nobody knew what had happened. Coordinators who have experience in Pokemon battles could notice something. Just like Serena. Her attack was reflected back at herself, May said. It was at that moment that she made the cut, but Ash waved his sword as if returning it. Dawn opined. Serena instead looked at Rias with a serious look. Rias, what did you do? I'll tell you later, she said seriously and being more worried about the black guy. Irina walked away holding her shoulder, which was bleeding. The wound was superficial but worrying. Ash didn't know how he did it, but from there he understood that perhaps it was a sword skill. He stared at the sword. What was that? I don't know, buddy, but that helped you a lot. You already have a counteroffensive. Okay, I think I can use it. The chestnut grabbed her shoulder in pain, not believing what happened. I don't know what you did, but this won't help you at all. She attacked again, but now I try not to get too close. To which Ash took opportunities. But Irina with sacred energy launched a long-distance attack. Ash saw the attack. I thought I would avoid it. But the same feeling came back, but now it didn't allow him to move. He just moved his sword as if preparing for a cut. And just when the attack was about to reach him, he waved his sword. The attack was somehow returned, but with more power. She narrowly dodged and watched as her attack split about 12 trees in half. Something that left her speechless. My attack wasn't powerful enough to do that. What the hell is that ability? Wait, did I say a bad word? God forgive me for my language. As for Ash, he was also surprised to see what he just did. What did I just do? With the others. Rias, tell me why you gave that sword to Ashquin. It was Sona who complained to her friend, very angry about such an act. But she didn't answer. Kaicho, tell me, what is that sword about? Asked Serena. That sword is a demonic sword. It was used by a demon who was a hero in the Civil War, who was the best knight in the service of the current Mao. His name is Losfang. But what's wrong with that sword? Asked Mei, who didn't understand the angry expression of the student council leader. The sword has a curse spell. Only someone worthy, and who does not desire power out of ambition, can wield it. If you are not worthy, the sword itself can kill you from within by burning in hellish fire. That left Serena very angry, and she confronted the redhead. You knew about this, you knew what could happen, and yet you still gave him that sword? They were direct orders from the Mao Bell. Don't think I did this for fun. Serena could see that the heiress's fist was very tense, to the point that the veins stood out. Kiba was now on the ground. He couldn't take it anymore due to the wounds he had. But he still tried to get up. The blue-haired girl looked arrogantly at the blonde. You know, senpai, I expected more from you, but I can see that you were not in condition from the beginning, so I can say that it is a shame now. A few moments ago you reacted to the question I asked you, so I can assume that you know something. She took her sword and stood beside him, preparing to stab him. Tell me where that energy is, and maybe I'll spare your life. If you want, kill me, but you won't have your hands on him. Did you say he? Kiba knew he made a mistake. So someone has it. Well, it will be easier to carry it if it isn't someone, but now I will give you eternal rest. He raised his sword to stab him. But Kiba, Ash shouted, seeing how his friend was on the ground. When the sword was about to stab him. Leave it! She saw a blue flash and reflexively used her sword for a powerful blow that sent her away from her fallen opponent. He looked up and saw something incredible. It was Ash, who was now covered in pure sky blue energy, giving it an appearance that in the eyes of the envoys was divine. But they could also notice that what they were looking for they found right under their noses. You have the energy? And you're also a demon? You have made me angry like never before. The blue-haired girl launched herself with a slash, concentrating sacred power on the sword, eliminating the raven-haired boy in one blow. Zenobia, don't do it. But I didn't expect what was going to happen. The trainer's sword, instead of being destroyed, resisted as if nothing had happened, and the best thing was that it was surrounded by aura. No, damn it, you made me angry. It's impossible. Excalibur Destroyer has the power to shatter any sword on contact. How is it possible for that short sword to withstand such an attack? Irina's words shocked many, especially a certain blonde gentleman. The trainer deflected the sword with a movement and slid to hit him in the stomach with an aura-charged blow, drawing blood and causing him to hit the barrier. Septile. A light came out from his waist and materialized to reveal the forest Pokemon ready for whatever his trainer orders. Take Kiba and take him out of the barrier. He took Kiba, who was still in shock, to where the others were waiting to help him with his wounds. Irina, we have to attack together. We have to take him to the Vatican. But Zenobia, he's a demon. We can get his evil piece out of there now. We have to capture him. Ash, get out of there, Rias shouted upon learning the exorcist's intentions. They attacked and tried to hurt him with their swords. But Ash blocked the cuts and thrust expertly. And when they were struggling, you have to come with us. Your pure power must not be with the demons, Zenobia pressed. The Lord will welcome you with open arms. Come with us, Irina tried to convince him. I'm sorry, but I won't go with those who unfairly judged one of my friends, and I don't intend to serve that god either. I serve Bucho and the god who sent me, she said, resisting. Then you will come to the bad, don't worry, you will thank us, he pressed more. You are a pure but stubborn being. You would be a great angel, said Irina, smiling in a Yandere way. Both of them put him on his knees with the pressure, as he tried to resist. I'm sorry for you, but... And without warning he increased his aura and slowly got back on his feet. I don't give up until the end. And with brute force he cut the tension, and then put away his sword and went straight to hit their stomachs, knocking the air out of them. Irina fell. But Zenobia withstood the blow and faced Ash, and both exchanged blows and stabs. But she saw how the blue-haired man charged straight to hit her, and by inertia she put her sword to stop the blow. Which worked but made her back off from the force of the blow so much so that her feet dragged on the ground trying to stop. When he stopped he saw the coach and smiled arrogantly. You are too strong, and besides you are the security which makes you more valuable. It is a waste that someone like you is on the side of the demons. He didn't speak. Zenobia, your Excalibur, the brunette shouted, looking incredulously at something she never thought she would see in her life. What is it about? She asked until she saw what her partner saw, something that should be impossible. The blade of the sword had a crack. The demons had their mouths open, as that feat was impossible for a demon. But they noticed that the blue-haired boy's knuckles were hurt, not seriously but noticeably. Ash-kun is able to break a sacred sword? Sona asked in disbelief. It can't be possible. Ash did the impossible. Rias couldn't believe it either. Era. The blue-haired man increased his power further, and prepared his sword ready for another round. Well, do you want to continue? They both looked at each other. The atmosphere was becoming more and more tense. But... No, I think it's clear who's the winner here, she said, making her sword get wrapped in bandages, and the brunette got up in pain and wiping the dust off herself. After a few moments they were healed by Asia. Ash looked at the sword more closely, wanting to know how he could do that technique that returned Irina's attack. Hey! He turned around to see that it was the blue-haired girl. You beat us, and I see that you are stronger than we thought. That is why I will tell you this: the white man has awakened, and once he finds out how strong you are, he will immediately come looking for you. Take care of yourself before you join our side. Thanks for the heads up, and I would still say no. She just frowned and then shook her head. We are leaving, and Rias Gremory hopes that you do not intervene in this matter, and consider that. No, and no, he is my pawn, and I am not going to intervene. Whatever, Irina, let's go. Goodbye, Ash-kun, I hope to find you again, and next time I will take you with me to heaven, she said with a flirtatious wink, saying goodbye, leaving most of the girls jealous and Ash confused. But he gave it little importance. Yuto. He turned around to see the blonde walking away with a downcast look. I will not allow one of my servants to leave my nobility, she said, wanting to prevent her knight from leaving. Kiba-senpai. He stopped when he heard the coach's voice. You don't have to go. I don't know what you're going through, but if this is a problem, I want to help you. He put his hand on her shoulder. Let me help you, we're friends, right? Kiba-senpai? Ash. The blonde removed that hand from his shoulder. It was the hand with which he broke the Excalibur. If I can't destroy Excalibur, then I don't deserve to be your friend or anyone else's. Those words left the black-haired boy hurt, and the others unable to believe it. But the one who was angry was Sceptile, who will not tolerate his combat and training partner doing such a stupid thing. What an idiot you are, was what the initial said. Kiba-senpai. How I envy you, Ash, how I wish I had your power. And with that he walked away, leaving a coach feeling guilty. Pikachu tried to cheer him up, as did Serena and Dawn. May instead wanted to go and beat that idiot up for saying such nonsense. That afternoon marked the beginning of what would be the decisive point in what would be peace or war. But for now. Chapter 13. Another day has arrived. And in this one it was Ash who was in the park looking at all the passers-by, and with Pikachu on his shoulder watching everything. But... Ash. He turned around to see that it was someone he knew. Saji-senpai, I'm glad you came here. Okay, let's go. Hey, are you okay? You look tired. I am, it's nothing. Really? When was the last time you slept? He asked worriedly. I tell him it's nothing, I'm fine. The blonde hadn't believed him, but he couldn't do anything. Very well, now tell me why you called me here. Vera, I need your help. 5 minutes later. No way. I need your help, senpai. You're getting into something that could screw us up big time, plus Kaicho will eat me alive. I know, but if we don't do something, Kiba-senpai will get much worse. He is our friend and we must help him. Saji just looked at the raven. He couldn't say no to someone who, apart from being his friend, owed him a lot, even though he told him that there was no debt. Hence. Okay, suppose I'm going to help you. Do you have a plan? I have a plan, it's part of a plan. What percentage are we talking about? Both boys, including Pikachu, were surprised to hear Kaneko, who came out from behind the tree. Kaneko-chan, I strictly told you to be cautious. Serena and Sylvian were angry with the white-haired girl. I helped them follow Ash, she replied. I thought I told you, Kaneko-san, that it is rude to spy on people, Ash said, something annoyed with her. When did you say it? 3 hours ago. I didn't hear. I was eating candy at the time. Almost everyone slapped their foreheads at those words. Back to the topic. What percentage? Asked the blonde, already fed up with distractions. I don't know, 12%. 12%? Ha 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 ha. How fake is your laugh, Pikachu? Nope, is sincere. It's fake laughter. It's the most sincere laugh I've ever had in my life, since of all the plans we've made, this one isn't even close to one. It's just a concept. Are you on his side, Serena? It's better than 11%. And what if it's better than 11%? What does that have to do with anything? Thanks, Sylvian. See? She does support me. After that there was an awkward silence. Ash sighed. Listen, I know I'm asking a lot of you, but please. I need your support. They looked at each other. So they smiled at him. Okay. Alright. Let's get started. The group searched the city for their target. Although they didn't take long. Seeing them begging for alms on the street made people around them look at them strangely. Now. They ate as if they hadn't eaten for days. Already after eating. So you want to help us? That's right. Look, you don't have the necessary strength to accomplish your mission, so I propose a temporary alliance. A temporary alliance? Everyone turned to see that it was Kiba who had arrived. At that time the alliance was discussed. Do you know what you're getting yourself into? I know you have the power of the boosted gear, and your holy power. But even we know that Kokobile is not someone to be taken lightly. Tell me, do you have any more help? Zenobia asked. Ash smiled. In a park. There was the Raven with his strongest Pokemon behind him. All with serious and challenging looks. All ready for battle. Something that left both exorcists speechless, since they had never seen that type of creatures, and even less were they in the books that the Vatican had. You have the best team you can get in front of you, give them a reason to stay. She composed herself, and then spoke seriously. Well, the enemy we face is one of the highest-ranking fallen angels. He is said to be a battle addict. Many claim that his plans are to start another war by attacking the Mouse Sister heirs. He addressed the Pokemon. Help me get the Excalibur back. You can break one and you'll have your battle against the... He looked at the Pokemon and Ash. I heard from your owner that you love to fight against someone powerful. I offer you the opportunity to achieve that wish. He said this by showing in a magic circle on a piece of paper the image of the one who stole the Excalibur. Kokobile. Everyone, even the demons, were tense. But Ash and his Pokemon were eager to face such a fearsome enemy. Serena, who saw the boys' look, wanted to add more to the deal. Do you want us to enjoy this and get out alive? Zenobia paid attention to Serena. Guide us to Kokobile and his lackeys, we will eliminate them, and you will come back alive without saying anything related to Ash and his aura. That raised tensions. We can't promise that. The energy he has is pure. He must be serving God our Lord. Irina didn't want to accept that. You have to do it, she spoke to him seriously. There was a moment of tension in everyone. That's the deal. Leave it or take it. Faced with Ash's ultimatum, Zenobia and Irina looked at each other, and then the blue-haired girl responded. Help us get Excalibur back and we all win. The deal was done. You heard me, guys, but this is different. This isn't about street demons or a team that wants to rule the world, it's a whole different level. Ash's words not only made his friends aware of the danger, but the Pokemon smiled knowing that a very powerful enemy awaits them. They're going to pay us, right? Pikachu asked, making everyone laugh. The demons and exorcists didn't understand him. In a private hot spring bath, the heiresses of the Gremory and Citry houses were taking a bath. So, you think AshXharem made a deal with the church's envoys? Yes, but I can't worry since Serena is with him to prevent him from doing something completely stupid. I see that what your friends say is true. He is looking for problems or trouble seeks him out. I hope Saji can take care of him. By the way, you never told me why your pawn cares so much about Ash. Saji owes a lot to AshXharem. I can't tell you more because I respect his privacy. It seems that you value Saji. I trust him. After all, it was thanks to him that I have someone I can trust. Rias looked seriously at her heiress friend. Sona. Yeah? Do you like Ash? At those words the Citry heiress turned red in the face. That couldn't be possible since he has to beat me in a game of chess, and we always end up in a tie. I couldn't. You're too blushing for you not to like him. How did you find out? I asked, knowing that I could no longer hide it. On the day when Ash faced his Pokemon, you were more worried than usual. Besides, you had regrets, and I deduced that it was because you were not his master. Please don't tell anyone. And I'm sorry for. You have nothing to apologize for. Aside from the fact that I get the idea that more girls will be interested in him, I have to protect him since I can't leave all that work to Serena. Wait, aren't you going to tell me something? Will it matter? I don't think so. I hope things don't get worse. I hope so too. Ash's plan was simple but effective. Serve as bait to attract a predator. So, Ash, Serena, Kiba, Kaneko, and Saji dressed up as priests to be able to attract the attacker. I feel like I'm betraying my race. Come on, Kiba-senpai, remember that it's to catch that guy. In the end it will all be worth it. Yes, Kiba-senpai. Let's trust Ash's plan. Serena spoke in support of her beloved. Okay, I think I can handle it. Hey Ash, we're bored. How about some jokes? Saji asked, somewhat bored. I don't know. Do you know what a traffic officer said to a dwarf? I don't know, said Kiba. I think he said alto. That caused laughter from the others, although Loli didn't like that joke. You know why? What is the name of Yaki-chan's daughter? I don't know, asked Serena, smiling. Like soup, Murukan. More laughter from the young people, which caught the attention of some passers-by. A lion ate a soap. And? Kaneko asked. Well, now it's a puma. The laughter increased further, and that caught the attention of an officer who was going to call them out. The authority arrested two puzzles. And why? Saji asked, having fun with those bad jokes. Because they were armed. That made even the officer laugh. Why can't diabetics take revenge? I don't know, Kiba asked, already holding back the urge to laugh. Because revenge is sweet. The Pokemon were dying of laughter. One last thing, why don't monkeys go to parties? I don't know, they all asked. Because they are parties. With this last joke he made many people laugh. Even though they were bad, they fulfilled their function. Make laugh. Arriving at the target location, which is an abandoned mansion, everyone went inside. Ash recognized the place as it was where he was given the worst pain of his life by a stray demon that wanted to devour him in both senses. Keep your eyes open, Kiba told them, staying alert. Everyone was looking around for something out of the ordinary. But suddenly Ash felt an evil presence above them. And that presence was heading towards Serena. So using his horse speed and taking his sword Lost Vein, he stopped an attack from a light sword. He was someone I really wished I hadn't met. Surprise. Everyone stood on guard and Ash managed to kick the guy away. It's time to kill priests, how exciting. But everyone took off their robes ready to fight. Hey, you are demons, it doesn't matter, I'm going to kill you all anyway, especially you demon with an idiot face. Ash, do you know him? Serena asked, somewhat bewildered by the guy's crazy look. He's a crazy guy who really needs to go to the funhouse. The Pokemon went on the attack and the others surrounded the mad exorcist. What cheaters, 5 against 1. We will be something like a referee, so there is no cheating, said Ash seriously. This duel is between you and me, Freed. Are you coming for more? Then I'll give you more. Kiba and Freed began their duel, which for a few moments were even, but then the exorcist began to gain ground. Something that worried several. Come on, Kiba-senpai, you can do it, Ash shouted, encouraging him. Kiba, having trouble, listened to him, and then some things that the coach told him come to his mind. I usually improvise when I'm in trouble. Once I did a combined attack between Smello and Pikachu. If Ash can do it, I can do it too. We must help him, said Saji, preparing his sacred gear. No need, Saji-senpai, Kiba-senpai will do it. And his predictions were true. Kiba, using a sword of water and fire, created steam which covered almost the entire area of the duel. Damn demon, come out so I can cut you with my Excalibur. He used his strength to try to get out, but every step he took was greeted by a cut, and the next one was deeper. And so it went on until when the steam cleared there was Freed with horrible cuts. And Kiba with a sword ready to cut his neck. I won. Not everyone could be proud. If it weren't for someone. That sacred gear is interesting, I wonder what else it will do. That someone appeared from the shadows, and it was someone Kiba knew. Valper Galilei? Freed, damn it, we have to get out of here. The bishop took out flash grenades and threw them at the young people. Escape. Serena, we have to inform Zenobia and let her know where they can be. I already sent Greninja to follow them. Not so fast. Everyone turned to see that they were the heirs in charge. Rias and Sona. Oh, Buck. Language, Pikachu told him, although he was just as pissed off as his trainer. Are you serious, Ash? He and Pikachu were in Sizer receiving the sermon from the redhead. Saji, you should have informed me in case Ash did these crazy things. I couldn't give him away, Kaicho. What am I going to do with you? At least you made sure no one got hurt. Kaicho assured me. Serena thought you were more sensible. Weren't you supposed to keep her from getting into trouble? You know that with him it is impossible, Rias. Well, we'll talk about that later, now we have to go home. Butcho, I need you to listen to me. No, Ash, listen to me. I told you not to get involved with the church, and what did you do? Butcho. I told you not to mess with the exorcists, that they will try to take you to the Vatican, and what did you do? Rias, listen to me. There was silence in the place, and it was because he never usually yells, and even less at her. We are in total danger, and I know that this guy Kokobile can do something crazy. Please, we have to stop him before it's too late. She looked at him. I didn't know why, but I was beginning to believe that Ash was right in his paranoia. To which she sighed deeply and looked at his face. Ash, when was the last time you slept? That doesn't matter, but the important thing is that. You better go rest, he ordered. There is no time to rest. Rest if what you say turns out to be true. I need you to be ready to face anything. Let's go home. Ash looked down, and it was true. He hadn't slept in 2 days thanks to worrying about Kiba, fearing the worst. And I wouldn't know how much longer I could stay awake. Okay, Bucho. Pikachu, who was on her shoulder, looked at her, thanking her since he had also noticed the tiredness of his friend and trainer. Okay, Saji, get into position. I have to give you a punishment. Saji had what was going to happen. Wait, Kaicho, I will accept Saji-senpai's punishment, Ash asked. Ash, please don't get involved. Are you sure, Ketchum-kun? It's 1,000 lashes with magic, he asked, not wanting to hurt him. I am. She really didn't want to hurt him, so. I'll give them to you another day since you need to rest, thanks, Saji. And so things calmed down, even if just a little. Already at night, with Ash sleeping with Rias, Serena and Asia at his sides. Of course, Serena forced Rias to at least sleep in lingerie, which at least avoids a lot of discomfort for the trainer. But suddenly Pikachu, who was sleeping next to Sylveon, heard a sound just like the fairy Pokemon, and immediately they both jumped on their trainers to wake them up. Pikachu, what's going on, crap? She immediately jumped out of bed, waking up the others, and using her aura she shaped it into a shield which stopped what was a spear of light. He resisted the shield until they both exploded. ASH. The girls, now fully awake and dressed, saw how he jumped out the window to go to the roof and face someone. He was a fallen angel with 10 wings, which gave him an imposing appearance. It was Kokobile. Interesting. Ash wrapped his fists in aura and jumped to attack, which the fallen easily evaded the punches and kicks. Is this the best you have? I asked mockingly. No, but thanks for asking now, Pikachu. Suddenly the electric Pokemon jumped with an electro ball in its iron tail, hitting the guy in the chest so Ash could hit him full on with an aura sphere, making the fallen man hit the ground. He got up with some difficulty, but was smiling, holding his chest. Not bad, huh, not bad. Ash was going to attack again, but Rias ordered him to stop. She had arrived with Serena and Asia without forgetting May and Dawn, who were ready to fight with their Pokemon. What are the reasons why Kokobile is here? It's obvious, Lucifer's sister. I've come to declare war on the demonic faction. A war? Serena was scared by those words. That's right, all this peace has made the fallen weak like the other factions. The war made the warriors powerful with the fury of battle, the smell of blood and the sound of death. Today there is no such thing, and it is what I hate the most. Your crazy wars only bring suffering. I'm not going to let you do that, Ash shouted angrily, wanting to fight again just like Pikachu. If you want to stop me, you'll have to defeat me. I'll wait for you at the academy, since that will be the place where I'll start what will be the great war. This whole city will disappear if you don't come to face me. I'll wait for you there, brat, he said, and then disappeared. Ash had been angered to know that many lives could be lost. We have to evacuate the city. We can't, May. It would be risking Kokobile attacking the city ahead of time, said Rias, knowing the cons of evacuating. But suddenly Ash spoke. I have an idea. The barrier has already been placed around the Kaicho Academy. It was Saji who said it, helping to put up a magic barrier to prevent collateral damage to the outside. It won't be enough if that man decides to attack with all his strength before time. Rias, tell me if you already asked the Mao for help. I can't bother him knowing that this happened in my territory. Did you talk to your sister? She could help us immediately, Rias asked Sona. Not at all. I don't want her to do what that crazy cadre wanted us to do, and I don't want her to hurt Ash since she's overprotective of me. I already informed the Mao of this, said Queen Gremory seriously. Akino. I'm sorry about this, Rias, but we'll need all the help we can get. Ash is strong, but we're facing a cadre, so you better put aside your pride, which will be useless to you at this moment. She sighed in annoyance, knowing that what her queen said was true. Okay, Akino, you win, and Ash? He's with the others planning strategies since he found out that Kokobile wasn't coming alone. He looks determined to stop him, he said, pointing to a specific place. I'd better go see what he's up to. I'm going with you, Rias. Maybe I'll be surprised, said Sona, also accompanying her. When both heiresses along with their queens arrived, they saw Ash pointing at a drawing on the ground with Serena, Asia, May, Kaneko, and Dawn, keeping their Pokemon present. They left the strategy to him because the Pokemon he has only obey him and his friends. Besides, his strategy used in the raiding was highly regarded by experts in the underworld. Here is where we will open the gap in his forces. I will be able to defeat him if I go straight to him. They, like the others, were in disbelief. Are you going to go straight to him, Ash? Asked Serena. It is a unique opportunity that we can do, Serena. If I succeed, he will be stopped. But it is vital so that I do not succeed in destroying the city. This is where we will fight with him, where he will not have control of his lackeys. Ash, this is crazy. You won't be able to get close to that man even 50 meters. His lackeys will stop you and Kokobile will crush you, questioned the Sinnoh coordinator. Not if you attack them from the left, with the help of Kaneko-san, your Pokemon Dawn, and some of mine, which are Torterra, Gigalith, Gadra, Venusaur, and Meganium. I just need you to hold them back and be careful. Dawn didn't know if she was ready for that. As for the center, I know they are going to attack with everything. I will need your help, Serena, with your Pokemon and helping you with her cross, Primeape, Embor, Incineroar, Decidueye and Noivern along with some more. The heiresses were serious. I along with Serena and her Pokemon will go to the right. I could see that he is somewhat arrogant, so he will try to stop me and weaken me. That is where May comes in. If you contain them with the help of Bucho and Akino Senpai, I will sneak through the gap to attack with the strongest I have, making him retreat, fighting without him having the opportunity to direct his forces. Only then we can win, he said, hitting the ground where Kokobile should be. Even if you face him, we don't know if it will be enough. He could discover the plan behind the plan we have and everyone in the city would be in danger, said Rias. It's true, Sona supported, knowing how risky the strategy of the boy she fell in love with was, fearing the worst. I know you're scared, I understand that, but if we don't move now it might be too late, and I don't want anyone in the city to die because of me. May had to speak. Ash, this is totally different from what you faced in the past. How about this? Let's use the strongest and attack the sides while the heavyweights contain them in the middle, so we'll give time for reinforcements from the underworld to arrive. Or those of the church if you join us. They turned to see that it was Zenobia and Irina along with Kiba. They are here. We came to help, but I didn't expect a strategy like that. Nor am I that risky, Zenobia said to Rias, surprised by such a strategy. I don't plan on risking any of you facing that man, Anne, nor am I going to join the church. Have you forgotten what you did to Asia in the past? Ash-kun, I'm sure that if we give good references and with your annexation everything will become clear, Irina defended. I don't think that will happen, said Kiba, knowing how proud the church was for not wanting to admit that they were wrong. Me too, Serena told her, wanting to defend Asia just like the others. Leaving Irina with nothing to bargain with. Ash, I know you are strong, but we are talking about an enemy who faced the God of the Bible. He may defeat you, or worse, you have to listen to me, please. We have to reorganize, we must hold them off until Lucifer's troops arrive and resolve this crisis, suggested Sona, trying to get her secret love to reason. I would if I were Kaicho, but I am Ash and I have never backed down from anything. Just like my Pokemon that have always followed me until the end. I know I am asking a lot from you all, but I want you to understand that this is not about winning but fighting for those who live here and do not have to be victims of this man. I will put an end to his ambitions, and if he is not as cowardly as I think he is, he will face me. I only ask for your help, please. Nobody said anything, not out of fear, but because they felt touched by the coach's words. Are you going to help me? He asked. There was silence in the place until Kiba spoke. I will follow you to the end, Ash. You helped me, now it's time for me to do it. Thanks, Kiba-senpai. Then she looked at the others. They had no doubt in their eyes. After all, they knew that with Ash everything was possible, so without fear they agreed to follow the strategy. Very good. The battlefield was set, and at the other end, sitting on a throne, was Kokobile along with Balba, freed, and a unit of 20 fallen, 4 and 6 winged, all rejected by their leaders for being warmongers. And in front of them was a horde of goblins with weapons like swords and spears, not forgetting about 5 huge Cerberus and several gargoyles that flew along with chimeras. He wanted to strike a big blow and show those heiresses what despair is, but above all he wanted to know how determined the demon that faced him was. I didn't want to admit it, but I was excited, wanting to fight him again. On the other side, outside the school, was Ash with the others, and suddenly he brought out his Pokemon, which were not the strongest but the rest. I looked at them. Feraligatr, I remember when you danced as a little Totodile. It was like your victory dance. Do you plan to give your best steps in this battle? The aquatic Pokemon roared in excitement at its trainer's question, as did the others. Then he moved on to another. Glisker, I still remember how we faced Paul in the Sinnoh League. You defeated your gang leader who showed you respect after the battle. Are you planning to win today? He also roared, following his coach wherever he went. Ash stepped into one of which is special. And Holucha, I still regret that those hunters hurt your friends in the forest. But they are strong and they are waiting for you to see them again. Fight for them today. The fighting Pokemon was motivated, wanting to fight already. The girls looked at the coach, who was going to give them some motivating words. All of you, I appreciate that you want to help me after so many things we've been through, and of so many, this is the most dangerous of all. We are here in this world, trying to avoid a war in which many innocent people will die. On the other side is the enemy. His name is Kokobile, and he wants to destroy the city without caring about anything else but calming his boredom. But I want you to look at him and ask yourselves, who gives him the right to incite a conflict just to entertain himself? Who gives that bastard the right to only care about chaos without caring about the suffering of others? Who is that scum to play with the lives of others in a despicable and cowardly way? The Pokemon look and see the enemy, they roar furiously. This is something that bothers his coach, and they are willing to put an end to it. Those creatures and those lackeys don't fight out of loyalty. They don't fight for something, they're only interested in killing and hurting whoever gets in their way like the scum that they are. Kokobile listened and smiled. The brat was really interesting to him. This fight is not about winning titles or cups, this is about the lives of people who live their day to day fighting for a better tomorrow, and we can't allow him to achieve his goals. We are here not as a group or team, but as friends, as a family. The Pokemon roared, as did the girls' Pokemon, motivated by the trainer's words. Rias, like Serena and the others, couldn't believe that her beloved was someone so motivating. And that made them fall in love even more. Then there was silence. And Ash spoke. I won't lie to you, Kokobile is powerful. I don't even know if I can beat him. But I want you to know something I learned while I was in this world from someone very important who is remembered today. Overcome your fears and I promise you will beat anyone. All the Pokemon gave roars, howls and more, being motivated and ready to fight. Will they regret following him now? Never in their life. Ash looked on. This could be his most dangerous battle in his life, but he is not afraid of dying. And he will not fear someone like Kokobile ever. He spoke, giving some last words. When you tell your children about the battles you had, they will say, I was there that night in Ku, fighting for justice and the glory of our family. The Pokemon were already looking forward to fighting. The girls were more than motivated to go to their positions to win and be with Ash. And they will only achieve this by winning. Arceus is with us, he shouted, and then a flash from his waist brought out Pidgeot and mounted his flying Pokemon on his back, starting the plan. Serena, also motivated and very excited, got on Staraptor's back, just like Zenobia, who couldn't stop admiring Ash even though she didn't want to admit it. Kiba, motivated by such a speech with his wings, followed Ash, being willing to go to hell for a great friend like him. The battle for Ku was about to begin, and it would define the fate of the factions as well as the city. I can only tell you that. Chapter 14. It was night in Ku, and at a certain school a battle for peace was about to begin between the factions. Kokobile looked on with a very sinister smile as he listened to the coach's entire speech, which he admits was very inspiring. His brief fight with him must have admitted that he was not weak at all, and he said this because he knew of his move after receiving such an attack from that yellow rat. He didn't fight with all his might, which excited him. Now I was hoping that he would launch himself forward so that I could confront him, although of course I had to go through his lackeys and monsters that he used. As much as he wanted to have a good fight, he knows how to have his priorities set, so he will play with it. But when he saw him leaving with his electric rat on his shoulder on one side, he didn't know what he was doing. Where is that brat going? He asked his lackey Valper. I don't know, Kokobile-sama. Follow him now. Ash moved more and Kiba prepared his sword. Kiba-senpai, come forward. The Archbishop ordered Freed to follow Ash, and he happily did so on the back of a gargoyle, apart from carrying 20 of them. May, ready to do her part, gave the order. Alright guys, get into position. The Pokemon took their positions ready for battle. Tauros to the front. The 30 Tauros were ready with their leader. Move forward. And at the order of the home coordinator, they advanced slowly with Rias and Aquino in the air, ready for what they were going to do. The cadre watched as the black-haired man retreated. He smiled, believing that he could escape or attack from behind. That brat makes a mistake, Valper, said the cadre, creating with his magic several spheres of light that transformed into spears. That's right, Kokobile-sama. Young people today are very stupid, he agreed with him. The spears flew straight towards the group in front, and upon seeing them they immediately raised barriers to protect the Pokemon. They held out well, but there was another wave coming. More were burned thanks to a powerful flare. It was May who did it, smiling very confidently. Kokobio waved a hand and the goblins charged forward wanting to kill. He moved another hand and it was his four-winged fallen ones wanting to kill. And moving both hands, the chimeras along with more goblins launched themselves. The battle had begun. On the left side, Dawn, who had her Pachirisu on her shoulder, gave instructions to her Pokemon and Ash's Pokemon, who were ready to receive the enemy. Hold your positions, don't be afraid of those things, and keep an eye on the air if necessary. Sona, who watched from the air thanks to a flying familiar she had, watched as Ash and his flying Pokemon were followed by Freed and the Gargles. What his enemies didn't know was that Ash had a surprise in one of his rings on his free hand. Speed up your flight, let's go. His Pokemon flew faster. What are you waiting for, you imbeciles? Go faster, Freed shouted when he saw them moving away, not knowing that he was walking into a trap. In front, some huge goblins the size of family vans were already approaching to break the Toro's formation. Rias and Aquino were going to finish them off, but May stopped them. There were only a few meters left, and May gave the order. Open the line. The Toros moved, letting the huge goblins pass while the Pokemon behind them killed them with deadly attacks and moves. They were not guilty in doing so. The Toros returned to their formation and greeted the rest along with some Pokemon that jumped onto the formation to start fighting, just like May, who fought using fire-type movements. On the left side, the monsters were approaching and Dawn was preparing herself. Some like Pachirisu, Kalava and Bunnery launched attacks to shoot down any flying enemies. Sharp Rock now. Gigalith used his move to save him from actually leaning forward. Dawn, along with her Empoleon, Biniri and Mamoswine, launched a beam of ice on the ground, causing the goblins to slip and hit the rock wall. The Pokemon finished them off without any problem, while Ash, who was still flying, was already far enough away. Kiba-senpai, get ready. The blonde was ready. As Freed got closer, wanting to prevent him from escaping. To the left now. Ash turned around, leaving the formation as he left, leaving Kiba to take care of it, and making a volcanic smoke out of nowhere that covered his retreat. Freed didn't know what was happening. What the hell? He didn't see that Kiba along with the flying Pokemon and Serena along with Zenobia were attacking, coming out of the volcanic ash screen. At that time, another battle took place. While Ash watched as the plan was going well, although he wanted to stay to support Kiba and protect Serena. Partner, you must let them fight their own battles, you have an enemy waiting for you. I know, Drag, I just hope they can catch me on the enemy front. While that was happening in the center, they began to advance, decimating the enemies. It should be said that some like Typhlosion, Feraligatr, Incineroar and Decidueye competed for who killed more goblins. Decidueye, I'm going 3 in a row. I took 12 Incineroar, he said, killing more with his shadow stitches. What? I'm not going to let anyone with a cabbage head beat me, he said, and then hit a goblin in the lower part of the body, which jumped on him and finished him off. The Alola archer hit another one, and then dodged a goblin's stab and killed it by stabbing it in the chest to pull it out and shoot to kill another one. Another 3. More Pokemon were really elated by such a battle, very different from what they were used to, and they loved it. Advance, don't leave a single one alive, maintain formation, May ordered as she killed one with a fire kick. The Pokemon advanced, decimating more monsters. Kokobio, despite seeing his forces massacred, was not really worried. In fact, he loved seeing such an act. So, turning his throne, he gave a signal to his troops of Fallen along with the Cerberus to launch themselves into battle at his signal. Sona, who was looking at the situation, saw that Dawn was beginning to be overwhelmed by the Fallen Four-Winged and the goblins, even though she has Pokemon good at defense. Kaicho, it seems that Ash's friend won't resist, Tsubaki said worriedly. I have to go help, but I can't neglect my post. Kaicho, go help, we'll take care of the barrier, Saji told him, seeing the situation. I can't leave them here. We can handle it, go help Ash. Due to the insistence of her entourage and the constant concern for the coach, she was forced to do something she would never have done in her life. Trust more in your entourage. I'll leave it to you. He spread his wings and went into battle. Ash, who was flying on Pidgeot's back, prepared his sword Lost Vein ready to fight. And I managed to see his friends. Heading towards the enemy front, Rias and Aquino along with Noivern who had Levany on his back, Naganadel who had Snivy and Holucha who was flying alone met up with him. Now forming a devastating attack by Rias, they managed to hit the reserve forces. Kokabeel-sama. I'm busy, Valper, he said, watching the whole battle through magic screens. They are here. That? I stopped looking at their screens to see what was true. He didn't understand how they managed to get close to his position. Send the Cerberus and the 6-winged ones immediately. Ash and his Pokemon fought, killing several goblins. In the center, May continued to advance, giving orders, and the Pokemon did eliminate their enemies. Kokabeel saw this, and he cursed himself for being surrounded by useless people as he was losing ground. While on the left flank, Dawn and Kaneko began to lose ground as the enemies were stronger. I need more reinforcements, we can't handle them all. She then fell to the ground and was going to be stabbed with a spear by a goblin, but a water whip split it in half. It was Sona who came to his aid. I'm here, I've come to help you, but I won't be enough, he said, killing more fallen and goblins. Kaneko-chan, Kaneko-chan. Dawn, what's happening? Find Ash and tell him what's going on. Go before we get crushed here, please go quickly. The white-haired girl immediately spread her wings to go inform Ash, knowing where he could be, hoping to arrive in time. While on the front, Ash was fighting, killing gargoyles and fallen with his sword, but then one knocked him to the ground and was going to kill him with his axe. But his arm was cut off by a sword. It was Kiba who managed to get to the front. Don't get distracted, Ash, you have an enemy to defeat. He stood up and took his sword and then continued fighting, killing one who was screaming in attack. The battle increased in intensity, and Serena, who had a short sword along with Zenobia and more flying Pokemon, managed to further weaken their enemies, although they also managed to injure themselves. Levany jumped to kill a goblin that was going to attack its trainer from behind, and then Naganadel killed more with its poison, and Pikachu with its speed managed to break skulls using its iron tail. Snivy with his leaves seriously wounded the fallen and goblins. Rias, Serena, Aquino and Zenobia fought the Cerberus, which made the situation difficult for them. And among all the chaos, Ash managed to see his enemy still in the light of the barrier. Kokabeel. There he was on his floating throne with Valper at his left side just 100 meters away. Pidgeot, he called his first flying Pokemon. He put away his sword and jumped onto the bird Pokemon. They flew at high speed, dodging attacks of Sacred Light. The Pokemon turned around for Ash to take a weapon. A spear. Kokabeel. It was as if a hero were going to perform a legendary act. He shouted as his Pikachu held onto his shoulder, and the spear in his hand became covered in aura. And he pointed at his enemy. Kokabeel saw someone approaching his position, and it was that brat. How the hell did he get here? And at that moment, in the presence of many, and some who were watching the battle secretly. In the presence of Kokabeel's allied enemies. In the presence of Pokemon and demons. In the presence of Rias and Serena, who asked him to hit the target. The trainer threw the spear in a powerful attack. But the spear did not reach its target. He grazed Kokabeel's left side while also severing Valper's right arm, causing him to fall from his gargle. Shit. Damn it, he was quick to insult the electric Pokemon as well. Ash tried to get there to fight Kokabeel, but the fallen ones didn't allow it. While the cadre looked at his hand, which had his blood on it. Something that no one has managed to do for a long time. And it was a brat who fooled him for the second time. Now the only thing he had in mind was to make the coach suffer for such audacity. Alright, brat, you want to face me? Then I'll wait for you. He said, and then left his throne and went to a more remote place, which was the sports area of the academy, while Valper climbed onto his gargoyle and went to the left flank, still holding the stump, trying to stop the bleeding. The lackeys were already becoming disorganized without their leader, and the defenders took advantage of that. Rias, his queen and knight, arrived where Ash was, as did Serena and Zenobia. Ash, we have to go get him before he leaves the barrier. We will join forces to defeat him. Take your orange berry paste, Serena seconded to Rias. Everyone drank to regain strength, just like Ash, since he spent some strength. They were on their hunt, but someone arrived. Bucho Ash-kun. It was Kaneko who arrived. Kaneko-chan, what are you doing here? Bucho, Dawn is losing, there are too many of them, and they have broken the defense. Dawn is going to fall at any moment, Serena shouted, bewildered, fearing the worst. Buniri Pikachu shouted. No, Dawn, he was going straight to help him, but Ria stopped him. Ash, listen to me, if you forget Kokobile we risk destroying the city. Or we could lose Dawn, I have to go help her. We will go help her, you take care of Kokobile as you promised, only then will we win. He didn't want to abandon Dawn despite Serena's words, but if he didn't defeat Kokobile, all the effort of his friends and Pokemon would have been in vain. So he made the decision to go after him. Cadre. You're going to fall, Kokobile, I swear I'll beat you. And you won't be alone, partner. I'll leave it to you, take care of yourselves, he said, and then flew straight to hunt down his enemy, still worried about Dawn. But he trusted his friends, so he just prayed to Arceus that everything would turn out well. Let's help Dawn quickly. With Serena's order, everyone else went to the left flank to help Sinan's coordinator. Ash decided to just clench his left fist, making the booster gear appear, and with his friend on his shoulder having electric sparks on his cheeks for having to leave Buniri. A great battle awaits Ash against a very powerful enemy. But for now,
let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.